Chapter 32:14. Book 1. Chapter 159. In a Book 1, after flying for a while, Zhao Fu saw another group of people being chased. There were 7,000 or 8,000 people in this group, and the people chasing them were from the alchemy world. They did not want to let them live, and the alchemy god beasts continuously shot out beams of light towards the escaping people. Zhao Fu's eyes lit up. Explosions continuously sounded out, and the escaping people were continuously blasted away. Severed limbs and flesh flew everywhere, and facing such terrifying attacks, they were unable to resist at all. Boom, boom, boom. Another wave of beams of light brought with them terrifying little sounds as they shot towards the escaping people. This caused them to fall into despair. Zhao Fu's body instantly disappeared and reappeared at the back of the group. Many beams of light gave off shocking auras as they shot over, and Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of power flowed out. Bang! 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 The beams of light slammed into a black wall of light, causing many explosions to sound out. Waves of light spread out, forming a powerful gale that blew out. Those who were fleeing and those who were attacking, both sides revealed shocked expressions as they looked at the scene in front of them. A middle-aged man from the alchemy race said coldly, "Continue attacking. I don't believe that we can withstand more than a few attacks." Massive sounds rang out as the beams of light landed on the massive wall of light, but they were unable to break it. Just as the alchemy race was about to attack, the black wall of light shot out many black beams of light, which quickly landed on the alchemy god beasts. Bang! 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 Some alchemy sacred beasts released defensive shields to block the attack. Some alchemy sacred beasts were blown away, and some alchemy sacred beasts were destroyed. The alchemy race's expressions were quite unsightly. The middle-aged man understood how powerful Zhao Fu was and that they were not a match for him at all. As such, he did not hesitate and gave the order to retreat. After the alchemy race retreated, Zhao Fu stopped attacking. The little black fish beside Zhao Fu swam over to the corpses and opened its mouth and sucked, causing the surrounding corpses to give off waves of deathly aura and enter the little black fish's mouth. This little black fish ate deathly aura as food. After sucking in the deathly aura, the little black fish happily returned to Zhao Fu's side. At this time, the group of people who were fleeing also stopped. One by one, they came down from the carriage and expressed their gratitude to Zhao Fu. These people made Zhao Fu feel quite strange, as they were as handsome as men, but they had the sexy and fiery figures of women. They wore long clothes, and their voices were androgynous, making it impossible for Zhao Fu to tell if they were men or women. Looking at Zhao Fu's expression, a cheerful person smiled and asked, "What's wrong?" Zhao Fu asked, "Are you a man or a woman?" Everyone looked at each other and smiled. That bright and cheerful person said, "Of course we are women. My name is Yun Yuer. I am the queen of the Yunnan kingdom." The people of the Yunnan kingdom all look like this. Yun Yuer introduced herself. Zhao Fu nodded and said, "I'm leaving." Yun Yuer was taken aback. Yun Yin, a green-clothed woman with exquisite features, hurriedly said, "Wait." Zhao Fu asked, "What is it?" Everyone understood that they could not let Zhao Fu leave. After all, it was quite dangerous now, and they needed Zhao Fu's protection. If Zhao Fu left, they would not be able to retaliate no matter what danger they faced. Yun Huling, who was wearing red clothes and had a fiery figure, smiled and said, "Don't leave so quickly. We still haven't thanked you for saving us." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "There's no need for that." Everyone started to feel quite conflicted. Looking at them, Zhao Fu understood what they were thinking. He was also quite against their looks, or else Zhao Fu would have done something to them long ago. Yin Yuer smiled and said, "I won't hide it from you. We want your help, and we're willing to pay you." Zhao Fu said, "I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving." After saying this, Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Everyone did not even have time to react. Yin Yin sighed and said, "We should use any means necessary to make him stay. He's our only hope." Yun Huling said angrily, What's the point of saying that now? He's already gone. A black-clothed, cold-looking person called Yun Xiaoling asked, "What should we do now?" Yin Yuer said helplessly, "Let's leave this place as soon as possible. As for the future, we'll leave it to fate." Everyone's expressions were quite unsightly because they could not see the future and could only see darkness. They did not know where they should go. Suddenly, bandits rushed out and surrounded the Yunnan kingdom's people. They belonged to a nearby kingdom, and they used these bandits to rob and kill to obtain treasures. When they heard that a group from a kingdom had arrived and that there were not many of them, they excitedly ran over, as this meant that they could obtain massive amounts of wealth. Now, there were tens of thousands of them. A muscular man with a beard loudly laughed as he looked at these people and said, "Kill all the men and leave all the women. Brothers, let's have a taste of a princess today." The surrounding bandits all cried out in excitement. Yin Yuer and the others' expressions were quite unsightly. They had never thought that as soon as Zhao Fu left, they would encounter such danger. They were simply too unlucky. At the same time, they regretted not leaving Zhao Fu behind. With him here, they would not have to worry about these bandits. Yin Yuer immediately ordered the group to form a defensive formation. The bearded man hesitated before loudly yelling, "Brothers, charge!" The bandits rushed at the Yunnan kingdom's people, and both sides began to fight intensely. The sounds of weapons colliding continuously sounded out, and the sounds of fighting could be heard everywhere. A Yunnan kingdom soldier stabbed his spear through a bandit's chest, while a bandit hacked down on a Yunnan kingdom soldier's head. A Yunnan kingdom's soldier vigorously sent a bandit flying, but he was immediately killed. A bandit kicked a Yunnan kingdom soldier's chest and kicked him to the ground. A Yunnan kingdom soldier swung his saber and killed a bandit, while a bandit slashed out with his sword and slit a Yunnan kingdom soldier's throat. A bandit loudly shouted and forcefully hacked down on a Yunnan kingdom soldier's chest with an axe, causing blood to spurt out. A bandit swung his saber and chopped off a Yunnan kingdom soldier's arm. The Yunnan kingdom soldiers were not weak, but after being attacked by the gold refiners, most of them were injured. The group of bandits were not weak either, as they were not ordinary bandits. They had the support of the kingdom, and with their numbers, the Yunnan kingdom was at a disadvantage. The bearded man ferociously rushed over, and with a few slashes, he killed a few Yunnan kingdom soldiers. Yun Xiaoling wielded a sword and rushed over, saying, "I'll block her." A woman with a graceful figure and wearing white clothes called Yun Xiangxian also rushed over with a sword in her hand, saying, "I'll help you." The two of them attacked from the left and right. Chapter 32:15. Book 1. Chapter 160, translated by Hypersheep 325, edited by Mike here. Apart from a woman who did not know how to fight, everyone else rushed up to fight the bandits. Even though they attacked the bandits, they were not a match for them, and the Yunnan kingdom's people continuously died. Yinyu slashed out with her sword and killed 5 or 6 bandits. One of the bandits jumped to the side and slashed at Yinyu, who quickly dodged. A man called Yin Xiao, who was wearing a blue robe and had an elegant temperament, was kicked away by a bandit. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and he fell near Yin Yuer. Yin Yuer stabbed her sword through the bandit's chest. Yin Zhao's face was pale as he stood up and said, "Let's run. It's best if we can escape, or else we'll all die here." Yin Yuer understood that they were in a dangerous situation and was about to give the order. Arg! Many screams sounded out as a group of demon creatures came out of nowhere and savagely attacked the bandits, causing them to quickly die. Yin Yuer looked up and saw Zhao Fu appear in the sky. Zhao Fu had already flown away, but he quickly heard the sounds of fighting behind him. Zhao Fu did not want to bother, but after thinking about it, he still came over. When everyone saw Zhao Fu, they immediately smiled in pleasant surprise. The bearded big man looked at Zhao Fu in the sky with an unsightly expression as he shouted, "This is a private matter of the Devil's Spear Kingdom. If you dare to interfere, we'll definitely kill your entire family." Zhao Fu's gaze was filled with disdain as he pointed out with his finger, and a wave of energy shot out, instantly piercing through the bearded big man's head. The big man fell to the ground and died. Seeing this scene, the other bandits ran away in fear. However, they did not run away. The demons ferociously chased after them, biting their throats and drinking their blood. A sharp claw pierced through their chests and cut off their heads, and the bandits were quickly killed. The battle was over. Zhao Fu flew down. Some of the women could not help but throw themselves into Zhao Fu's arms. Zhao Fu had saved them twice in times of danger. They were extremely grateful to Zhao Fu, and they did not want Zhao Fu to leave again. Zhao Fu looked at the girls who were hugging him and smiled helplessly. "What's wrong?" Yin Huoling's eyes flickered with tears as she said, "Don't leave us. Can you stay?" Zhao Fu said, "I really have something to do. I can't stay by your side." Yin Yuer stood at the side and said, "Thank you very much for saving us twice." Zhao Fu said, "You're welcome. I didn't fly far anyway. When I heard the sounds of battle, I immediately returned." Yin Yuer smiled and said, "Do you really not have anything you want? We can help you fulfill all your requirements." Zhao Fu smiled. "I don't have anything else I want." Yin Xiao smiled and said, "There are too few good people like you. I also admire people like you very much." Hearing this, Zhao Fu smiled faintly. At this moment, the sky gradually darkened, and a few stars appeared in the light blue sky. Yin Yuer said, "It's getting dark now. You should wait until tomorrow before leaving." Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in anticipation. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. Then everyone walked for a while and found a hidden place to rest. The tent was quickly set up, and the bonfire was also lit. The girls took out Yunnan country's fine wine to entertain Zhao Fu. They were also very enthusiastic and kept feeding Zhao Fu wine and meat, as if they wanted to get Zhao Fu drunk. Unfortunately, Zhao Fu's physique did not allow him to get drunk. Instead, it was the girls who were a little drunk. Yin Yuer pushed Zhao Fu to the side and looked at Zhao Fu's perfect face. She blushed and said, "Don't go, okay?" Zhao Fu looked at Yin Yuer and was about to speak. However, Yin Yuer stopped him. Late at night, the bonfire's flames illuminated the surroundings. The heat dispelled the cold, and it felt warm. There were about 100 girls beside Zhao Fu. Yin Yuer nestled in Zhao Fu's arms and blushed slightly. "Are you satisfied with this repayment?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Although he was a little resistant to their looks, he had a different feeling. Yun Xiao blushed and said, "I feel like I've fallen in love with you. What should I do?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Then be my woman." Yin Xiao nodded happily. Yin Yuer blushed and said, "I really don't know where you get your charm from. Now, we really want to be your women. We don't just need your protection. We really like you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Yes, I know." Yin Xiaoling looked at Zhao Fu. "What do you think we should do in the future? We'll listen to you." Yin Huoling hugged Zhao Fu affectionately and said, "You won't leave us now, right?" Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "I'm heading to the water body for something very important. It's not that I don't want to bring you guys along, but it's too dangerous. Don't worry, I'll ensure your safety. You can head to the Fiery Kingdom." Hearing this, the girls were unwilling. However, after hearing the reason why Zhao Fu wanted to leave, they did not insist. They believed that Zhao Fu would protect them. Yin Yuta hugged Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "Thank you so much." Zhao Fu laughed. The next day, Zhao Fu left Yin Yuer and the others and continued flying towards the water body. Yin Yuer followed the information given by Zhao Fu and headed towards the Fiery Kingdom. However, not long after they left, they were surrounded by a group of mountain bandits. There were more than 200,000 of them, and the leader was a woman with a sexy figure. She only covered her important parts with a few pieces of cloth and carried a large axe. She looked very valiant. She was called Fierce 7. Fierce 7 said, with a ferocious expression, "You're the group of people who escaped from the kingdom? So, my men were also killed by you guys, right?" Yin Yuer and the others were surrounded by such a large number of mountain bandits. Their expressions were quite unsightly, and they started to worry. They were too unlucky. At first, they had been chased by the gold refiner race, then surrounded by mountain bandits, and now they were surrounded by mountain bandits again. Last time, there had only been tens of thousands of mountain bandits, and it had been very difficult for them to resist. Now that there were 200,000 of them, they had no hope at all. Yin Yuer said coldly, "We can give you the treasures, but please let us off this time." There were a few ferocious-looking women beside Fierce 7. They were called Fierce 1, Fierce 2, Fierce 3, Fierce 4, Fierce 5, and Fierce 6. Fierce 1 said viciously, "Do you think you can just leave after killing our people?" Fierce 3 evilly laughed and said, "If we sell them to a brothel, they should be worth a lot of money." Fierce 5 coldly laughed and said, "Isn't this too easy on them? I think we should just let us brothers have some fun. Just kill them, or else we won't be able to vent our anger." The mountain bandits happily shouted, "Thank you, fifth leader." They looked at Yin Yuer and the other women with lustful eyes. Chapter 32:16. Book 1, Chapter 161. Killing Fierce 7 called out, "Kill all the men and leave those stinky women." After receiving this order, the bandits looked incredibly excited and roared as they rushed at Yin Yuer and the others, giving off massive auras. Seeing so many people rush over, Yin Yuer and the others' expressions were quite grim. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as waves of black aura flowed out of the women's bodies and floated into the sky, and a powerful sovereign's might spread out. Yin Yuer and the others looked at their bodies in shock. Large amounts of black aura gathered in the sky, and heaven and earth power flooded in like a flood, causing massive ripples to shake the surroundings. A massive black dragon appeared in the sky. It was covered with jet-black dragon scales, and its eyes were like stars, and its horns were like black iron. Its body was incredibly powerful, and it gave off a domineering, noble, and supreme emperor's aura. Sensing this terrifying aura, the countless bandits felt as if they had fallen into icy water, and they could not help but tremble. Roar! The black dragon opened its mouth and spat out a black flame that swept across the ground, igniting the bandits on the ground. Countless bandits howled and struggled within the black flames, causing the bandits to retreat in terror. Yin Yuer and the others gave delighted smiles. They realized that this was the power that Zhao Fu had left in their bodies, and they had never thought that it would be so powerful. Fierce 7 and the others looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that Yin Yuer and the others would have such abilities. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded out as the black dragon once again spat out an enormous wave of flames that burned towards the bandits. Countless bandits were set ablaze by the black flames, and the immense pain caused them to run around wildly. Some lay on the ground and struggled, trying to extinguish the flames. However, these were not ordinary flames, and even water would find it difficult to extinguish them. With their strength, they were completely helpless against these flames, and they could only be burned to death. These two bursts of flames were enough to burn 20,000 bandits to death. Moreover, they were directly burned to ashes, leaving nothing behind. Seeing this, Fierce 7 hesitated and yelled, "Get into formation!" The bandits immediately gathered together, forming 7 groups. Fierce 7 and the others gave off powerful auras as they rushed at the black dragon in the sky, and the 7 groups' power flowed into their bodies. Countless rays of light shone out as the 7 women turned into 7 massive jackals and savagely bit at the black dragon in the sky. Seeing the 7 jackals coming, the black dragon savagely smiled. Boom! The black dragon was extremely domineering. He slapped out with his claw, slapping a jackal that was biting over to the ground, creating a huge crater. Following this, the black dragon swiped out with its claws and sent another jackal flying. The black dragon quickly bit forward, biting down on a jackal's body. The jackal let out a scream of pain, and a huge sound wave reverberated through the sky. The jackal in its jaws flew out and ferociously looked at the jackal's 7, and its terrifying aura caused the jackal to tremble, but it was still bitten. They didn't dare to attack, but that didn't mean the black dragon would let them go. The dragon quickly rushed towards the wolves and opened its huge mouth to bite one of the wolves. The wolf was afraid and wanted to dodge, but it was still bitten by the black dragon. 7, 7, 7, 7, and 10, 7, 7. The black dragon turned and grabbed 2 jackals with its claws, then swung its tail with immense power, sending the remaining jackals flying. The black dragon turned and grabbed 2 jackals with its claws, then swung its tail with immense power, sending the remaining jackals flying. Following this, the black dragon smashed the 2 jackals to the ground and threw the jackals that it had bitten into. Now, the 7 wolves were all quite injured. Looking at the black dragon in the sky, they felt it for themselves and understood how powerful the black dragon was. What should we do now? This black dragon is too powerful. According to the information we received, they shouldn't have this kind of ability. What happened? Let's retreat. They're too difficult to deal with. This black dragon is using those women as its foundation. If we kill those women, the black dragon will disappear. The few of you stall the black dragon. I'll go kill those stinking women. All right, the few of us will charge over. 5 jackals gave off powerful and ferocious auras as they charged at the black dragon, while the other 2 immediately pounced at Yunyu, and the other women. Seeing the 2 jackals pounce at them, Yunyu, and the other women's expressions changed. They wanted to dodge, but were worried that they would affect the black dragon, so they could only order the soldiers to defend with all their might. Bang! 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 Before the soldiers could attack, the black dragon swung its tail with a terrifying force, sending the 5 jackals flying. It then pounced downwards and grabbed 2 jackals with its claws, smashing them to the ground, creating 2 large craters. The 2 jackals' bodies started to blur before disappearing. Xiong 5 and Xiong 3 fell to the ground, blood leaking from the corners of their mouths. It seemed that their injuries were not light. The 2 brigands also suffered a backlash, and their bodies trembled as they coughed up small mouthfuls of blood. The black dragon's ferocious and domineering dragon eyes looked at the remaining jackals and immediately pounced over, biting another jackal. The jackal howled as its body also became blurry, and a woman's body fell to the ground. The remaining jackals gathered all of their strength and spat out a few massive beams of light that seemed to be able to destroy everything towards the black dragon. The black dragon also spat out a massive black flame, and the 2 massive powers clashed together. The flames scattered in all directions, and a terrifying shockwave spread out like a massive gale. Roar! The black dragon roared, and the black flames in its mouth became even more intense, suppressing the beams of light that the jackals had spat out. In the end, their bodies were set ablaze, and the intense pain caused them to howl. In the end, the jackals' bodies disappeared, and the women fell to the ground in pain. The black dragon's evil gaze once again looked at the brigands, and it immediately rushed over. It swung its dragon claws, and a terrifying force sent countless brigands flying. The dragon claws vigorously slapped out, and a massive force directly shattered many of the brigands' bodies. Following this, the black dragon spat out another wave of black flames, igniting many of the brigands' bodies, causing them to struggle in pain. Seeing this scene, the other brigands hurriedly ran in fear, and they were like scattered sand. The black dragon continued to wantonly slaughter. The brigands quickly scattered in all directions, leaving behind corpses. Blood dyed the ground red, creating a gory scene. The black dragon turned into countless traces of black aura that flowed into the women's bodies. Seeing this, Yunyu and the others could not help but feel admiration for Zhao Fu. This was just the power that Zhao Fu had left in their bodies, yet it had such shocking destructive power. At that moment, 10 or so soldiers brought Xiong 7 and the other women to Yunyu. Yunyu looked at the wretchedly injured Xiong 7 and the other women and smiled as she said, "What do you have to say now?" Chapter 32:17. Book 1, Chapter 162. Killing Fierce 7 coldly harumphed. If you want to kill us, then kill us. Don't waste words. Yin Shaoling said coldly. It's not that easy to die. What did you say you were going to do to us? Now, you can play with us soldiers. Hearing this, Fierce 7 and the other women's expressions changed. Yin Huling lightly laughed. We can also cripple their cultivations and throw them into brothels. Fierce 7 said furiously, You lowly women, I'll definitely make you die even more horribly. Fierce 3 coldly laughed and said, I curse you to suffer the same fate. Don't think that you can escape this region. Yin Yuer looked at Fierce 3 and said, I know you want to use the kingdom to threaten us, but we'll immediately change directions. I don't believe that the kingdom will dare to chase after us for you. Fierce 3 gloomily looked at Yin Yuer and said, Just you wait. When the time comes, you'll die just like us. Fierce 1 furiously yelled, If you have the ability, then kill us now. Yin Yuer lightly laughed and was about to say something to kill these women. A person suddenly appeared in the sky, and the women sensed it and looked up. Seeing that Zhao Fu had returned, they gave happy smiles. Why did you come back? Yin Yuer asked as she smiled. Zhao Fu landed on the ground and smiled as he said, I sense that you were in danger, so I came back to take a look. Yin Yuer went up and hugged Zhao Fu. The power you left in our bodies is very powerful, and you saved us once again. Thank you. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, With our relationship, there's no need to be so courteous with me. Yin Yuer's face became slightly red. The other women also came over. Zhao Fu looked at Fierce 7 and asked in confusion, Who are they? Yin Yuer gave a simple explanation of what had happened, and Zhao Fu lightly laughed, Then leave them to me. Yin Yuer smiled and said, All right, consider it a gift for you. Fierce 7 and the other women looked at Zhao Fu strangely and did not know who Zhao Fu was. However, after hearing that the domineering sovereign power came from him, they understood that he was definitely very terrifying. Yun Huoling's face was red as she said, Husband, I miss you again. Zhao Fu chuckled and ordered the soldiers to clean up the battlefield while he and the girls walked towards the forest at the side. 10 hours later, Zhao Fu hugged Yin Yuer and said, You guys have really encountered a lot of danger. Yin Yuer nodded. Yes, perhaps we were too unlucky. If it weren't for you, we would have been dead. Ferocious 7 lay on the other side of Zhao Fu and looked at Zhao Fu as he cried out, Hey, what do you plan to do with the 7 of us? Fierce 2 smiled and said, With a man like you, we won't lose out at all. Instead, we have a great advantage. Right now, I don't have any other requests. I just hope that you can kill us quickly. Zhao Fu thought about it and said with a smile, We will kill you, but you will become the queen's guards in the future to protect them. Fierce 7 said coldly, In your dreams. It's impossible. Zhao Fu smiled and said, You don't have the right to refuse. Fierce 7 looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What do you mean? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, You have a trace of my power within your bodies, and that power will control you and make you listen to the queen's orders. Fierce 7 cursed, Bastard. Yin Yuer said happily, Thank you, husband. I'm very satisfied with these guards. Zhao Fu looked at Fierce 7 and asked, What kind of kingdom is it that made you go around killing and pillaging? Fierce 7 did not want to tell Zhao Fu, but he could not control his body and said it. It's a very powerful and barbaric kingdom. They're a type of devil race, and their king is called Devil Speargeo. They also encourage bandits like us. Zhao Fu nodded and said, A kingdom that does so much evil and harms the heaven-awakened world should not exist. I didn't want to care about these things, but since they offended me, they must pay the price. Fierce 7 looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What do you want to do? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I want them to have a taste of what it's like to perish. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Yin Yuer asked curiously, What do you plan to do, husband? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I plan to ally with a few card factions and alchemy factions to attack the Devil Spear Kingdom. Yin Yuer asked curiously, Husband, you're someone from the heaven-awakened world. Will they listen to you? Zhao Fu said, I'll help them attack, and I don't want anything. in front of massive benefits. They'll most likely participate. Fierce 7 said angrily. You're actually helping outsiders attack your own faction? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, it's good for the Heaven-Awakened world if there are fewer kingdoms like this. Don't you also go around killing and pillaging? Yin Yuer thought for a moment before saying, Husband, I think we should forget about it. Aren't you in a hurry to go to the water region? There's no need to waste so much time. Also, even though the Devil Spear Kingdom has done many evil things, it can still defend against the invasion of 2 worlds. Yun Xiao said, We'll change our route and won't contact the Devil Spear Kingdom. Zhao Fu thought for a moment before saying, All right, I'll let him off this time. Fierce 2 lightly harumphed. I want to see if you have that kind of ability. Perhaps you'll be captured and killed by the alchemy faction. Zhao Fu could not help but lightly laugh. Are you doubting my ability? A pure alchemy bloodline aura spread out from Zhao Fu's body, and his bloodline seemed to be even more terrifying than a sovereign bloodline. Fierce 2's expression fell as he cried out, You're from the alchemy race? Yin Yuer and the other women's expressions also fell. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm from the Heaven-Awakened world, but I also have a pure bloodline from the alchemy race. With my bloodline, no one from the alchemy race will kill me. Yin Yuer let out a sigh of relief and asked curiously, Husband, we've always been curious about your identity. Can you tell us who you are? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, You'll know after you go to the Fire Nation. Yin Yuer nodded. Zhao Fu looked at Fierce 7 and the others and said, Be good and obedient in the future, and I won't mistreat you. They had just experienced Zhao Fu's alchemy bloodline that surpassed the sovereign bloodline and understood that Zhao Fu's identity was incredibly terrifying. At the very least, he was an imperial prince, and if Zhao Fu said he could destroy a kingdom, it was possible. They did not doubt him at all. The little black fish swam over from the side, where it had been devouring the deathly aura. Zhao Fu stretched out a finger and stroked the little black fish's head a few times, and the little black fish looked quite satisfied. Zhao Fu smiled and said, All right, I'm going to go now. I'm leaving. Be careful. Yin Yuer smiled and nodded. You be careful too. Zhao Fu then looked at Fierce 7 and the others and said, You don't need the formation's power to turn into wolves anymore. You can use the power I left in your bodies. Fierce 7 and the others sensed it and smiled in delight. Chapter 32:18. Book 1. Chapter 163. Zhao Fu once again left. Yin Xiaoling lightly harumphed. I should have killed you guys long ago, but I never thought that I'd give you such an opportunity. Fierce 2 laughed as he said, That's right. I understand that sisters enjoyed themselves and did not suffer at all. Fierce 3 lightly laughed as he said, The thing is that you can't do anything to us right now. The power that Lord gave us is extremely powerful, and it's above King's power. We could never obtain such power in the past. Yun Huling said angrily, Don't go too far. Fierce 7 looked at Yin Yuer and said, All right, that's enough. That Lord told us to be their guards so that we can properly protect them in the future. Hearing this, Fierce 2 and Fierce 3 did not say anything else. Yin Yuer said, Let's go. They went around the Devil Spear Kingdom and headed towards the Fire Kingdom from another side. They now knew how powerful the power that Zhao Fu had given them was. Together with Fierce 7 and the others, their safety was guaranteed and they did not encounter any danger. Zhao Fu flew in the sky, and a little black fish swam beside him. They were not slow at all. Following this, Zhao Fu came to a city. This was a city under the jurisdiction of a sect, so there was no danger for now, and the teleportation channel could be used at any time. Zhao Fu walked towards the teleportation channel. An elderly man dressed in gray robes stopped Zhao Fu. He said coldly, Who are you? Zhao Fu looked quite surprised. What is it? The elderly man coldly stared at Zhao Fu and said, Recently, our sect's disciples have been assassinated, and I think that you're quite suspicious. Zhao Fu said, I've only just arrived here and am just a passerby. The elderly man said coldly, Take off your cloak and your spatial ring. Let me check it. If you're not, I'll let you go. Zhao Fu felt quite displeased. What if I'm not? The elderly man said with a trace of killing intent. Then die. Zhao Fu looked at the old man in front of him. Naturally, he would not be willing to hand over the storage ring. There were many important things in it. The elder could tell what Zhao Fu was thinking and immediately clawed at Zhao Fu, bringing with it a ferocious claw mark, wanting to kill Zhao Fu in a single move. This old man's strength was indeed not weak. He had already reached the peak of the Imperial Sky Realm and had the qualifications to be so arrogant. However, he was facing Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood where he was and slapped out with his hand. A powerful energy slammed into the elder's chest, sending him flying back and coughing up a mouthful of blood. The old man's face turned pale. He didn't expect Zhao Fu to be so powerful. Zhao Fu did not want to waste time with this old man, so he walked to the side, planning to use the teleportation formation to leave this place. A few powerful auras descended, and a few elders appeared. It was a tall and thin old man dressed in red. He looked at the old man on the ground and asked, "What happened?" The old man immediately pointed at Zhao Fu and said, "He's the person who assassinated our sect's disciples. He's extremely powerful, so you need to be careful." The red-clothed old man said furiously, "So if it's you, die." Zhao Fu hurriedly said, "Wait." However, the elders ignored Zhao Fu's words and directly attacked toward Zhao Fu. The powerful energies gathered together and seemed to be able to shatter a mountain. A defensive barrier appeared in front of Zhao Fu. Bang! The powerful force slammed into the barrier, and a terrifying shockwave spread out, causing the ground to crack and rise. However, the barrier was not damaged at all. The elders were quite shocked. The red-clothed old man gathered a powerful energy into his fist, which burned with flames. He punched out, and a massive flaming fist punched toward Zhao Fu. Bang! The flaming fist slammed against the barrier, and massive flames covered Zhao Fu, turning him into a massive orb of flames, causing the surrounding temperature to rise. Another elder put his palms together, and a powerful wind spread out. An enormous and sharp whirlwind wrapped around the flames, forming a fire tornado. The surrounding ground was destroyed, and waves of heat spread out. A fat elder spat out a liquid from his mouth. The liquid was like oil, and it entered the flames, causing the flames to become even more intense. The surrounding temperature also rose, and the ground was burned to ashes. The last elder pointed his sword at Zhao Fu, and flying swords condensed in the air and flew towards the orb of flames. Boom! The flying swords flew into the fire tornado and combined with it, forming an enormous sword chi fire tornado. A terrifying aura spread out, and the surrounding area was destroyed by this power, creating a shocking scene. The red-clothed old man smiled confidently as he said, "Even though this person isn't weak, he has too little battle experience. If he takes our combined attack, he'll definitely die." Another elder coldly laughed as he said, "Since he dared to kill our sect's disciples, this is his fate." The fat elder said with some pity, "Killing him like this won't help us find out who ordered him to do it." Boom! A powerful energy exploded out, sending the countless flames flying. The elders hurriedly blocked, and the surroundings were set ablaze. Zhao Fu's body appeared, not injured at all. The old men looked at the scene in front of them in shock. Zhao Fu said with a trace of anger, "You asked for it." Just as he spoke, Zhao Fu appeared in front of the red-clothed old man and punched him. The red-clothed old man was sent flying, and a few of his ribs were broken. Blood leaked out of his mouth, and his injuries were quite severe. Zhao Fu kicked out, sending another elder flying. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood and fainted. Following this, Zhao Fu appeared in front of the fat elder. When the fat elder saw Zhao Fu, a savage look appeared on his face, and he sent out a powerful palm strike toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu disdainfully smiled and also sent out a palm strike. Bang! An explosion sounded out as a gale spread out. The fat elder's body flew back and crashed to the ground, and he howled as his arms seemed to have been broken by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu then attacked another elder, heavily injuring him with a single strike. Finally, it was the gray-clothed elder. Zhao Fu walked towards him with a cold expression. He was the one who made Zhao Fu the most angry, as everything had been caused by him. Seeing Zhao Fu walk over, the gray-clothed elder also looked terrified, but he quickly grabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu sent the gray-clothed elder flying with a kick. The gray-clothed elder fell to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood before fainting. After dealing with the elders, Zhao Fu did not stay and immediately flew towards the teleportation channel. However, by the time Zhao Fu arrived at the teleportation channel, it had already been forbidden. Zhao Fu immediately sensed a few powerful auras gathering towards him. In the end, Zhao Fu could only escape from the city. Chapter 32:19. However, this region was under the jurisdiction of a sect. This region was under the jurisdiction of a single sect. Zhao Fu went to a nearby city and found that this sect was looking for him. If he went around this sect, it would take him a few days to get to the sect. Zhao Fu thought about it and decided to go around this sect. Staying here and fighting with this sect would only waste more time. Just as Zhao Fu was about to leave, he sensed some movement in a part of the city. He saw a cloaked person suddenly appear behind two young men, stabbing towards them with a dagger in his hand. One of the young men's heart was pierced, and he immediately died. Seeing this, the other young man was so scared that he immediately ran away. The cloaked person immediately caught up to the young man and killed him. Just as he was about to leave, another cloaked person appeared in front of him. This person was naturally Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the person in front of him. This was most likely the person who had been assassinating the sect's disciples. Seeing that he was also wearing a cloak, Zhao Fu understood why the elder would suspect him. He was finished. He had taken the blame for this person. Seeing that Zhao Fu was in front of him, the person coldly stared at Zhao Fu and said in a young man's voice, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu said, "Who am I? I'm the one who took the blame for you." Hearing this, the young man's expression changed. He had heard that Zhao Fu was incredibly powerful and had defeated a few elders in one go. "What do you want to do?" the young man asked nervously. Zhao Fu thought for a moment. "I don't want to do anything. I just came to take a look. Even though I took the blame for you, I've already heavily injured a few elders, so I've already become enemies." The young man let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Why did you assassinate this sect's disciples?" The young man said with a look of hatred, "This sect's great elder killed my parents. I didn't have the ability to take revenge, so I could only kill some of the sect's disciples." Zhao Fu asked, "Why did that great elder kill your parents?" The young man hesitated and thought for a moment before saying, "Because of a treasure." Zhao Fu's interest was piqued. "What treasure is it?" The young man took off his cloak and saw some fish scales on his body. The pair of ears were like fins, which surprised Zhao Fu. The young man introduced himself. "My name is Yu Yi. My father is a human. My mother was a member of the water tribe. I am a mixed blood of the human race and the water kind. My mother used to be a holy girl of the water kind, but she was expelled from the water kind because she fell in love with my father. My mother brought out a treasure from the water tribe. That treasure is called the omnidirectional water world." Zhao Fu had a look of confusion. He had never heard of such a treasure before. Zhao Fu did not know much about the water race. "What kind of treasure is that? It shouldn't be ordinary, right?" Zhao Fu asked. Yui nodded seriously. "Take out a fist-sized one, a blue crystal with 8 faces. There was even a blob of blue water in it. It emitted a faint blue light. This is the omniscient water world." Zhao Fu sensed the pure water power emanating from the blue crystal. He understood that this thing was not simple at all. He asked, "What does it do?" Yu Yi said, "The omniscient water world contains the water world's source energy, and controlling it will allow one to obtain the water world's bloodline and world power. Moreover, it has the ability to fuse with all of the water race's powers. It's said that the omniscient water world has 24 of them. They are in different corners of the water region. Whoever has them will have the water region." At first, Zhao Fu thought that this was a very powerful and rare treasure. However, when Zhao Fu heard that having 24 omniscient water worlds would allow him to have a water region, he immediately looked delighted because this could be the key to awakening the water race's Emperor Star. Before, Zhao Fu did not know how to awaken his Emperor Star. He had only planned to take things one step at a time in the water region and perhaps find some fortuitous opportunities. He had encountered this fortuitous opportunity before even reaching the water region. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Yi and asked, "Why don't you use such a precious thing?" Yu Yi bitterly smiled and said, "Not everyone can use the 8-direction water world. One must obtain its approval. It's a pity that I didn't obtain its approval and can't use its power. Otherwise, I would have been able to take revenge with it." Zhao Fu asked, "You must have a purpose for taking out such a precious treasure, right?" Yu Yi nodded. "I know you're very strong. As long as you're willing to help me kill the Great Elder, I'm willing to give you this octagonal water world. It's useless in my hands anyway." Zhao Fu smiled. "I can promise you, but I need to obtain the 8-direction water world." Yu Yi didn't hesitate. She stretched out her hand and handed the water world to Zhao Fu. With Zhao Fu's strength, it was over. He could easily take it away, and he wouldn't be able to resist. Zhao Fu smiled as he received the water world and sent a wave of power into it. The water world gave off a repelling force, wanting to leave Zhao Fu's hand. Zhao Fu immediately sealed the water world to prevent it from escaping. The little black fish swam to the side. It seemed to be very interested in the item. Seeing this, Yu Yi said, "I forgot to tell you. This water world can only be used by people with the bloodline of the water race. You're a human, so you can't use it." Zhao Fu was wondering why the water world gave off a repelling force. So this was the reason. He smiled. This was very easy for him. After putting away the water world, Zhao Fu said, "I need information about that great elder." Yi smiled and said, "I can tell you in detail. That great elder is called Ku Shang. His cultivation has reached the peak of the emptiness realm. He cultivates the profound spirit 5 absolutes and is very powerful. He is ranked top 3 in the sect." After listening, Zhao Fu thought about the youth's words, "Peak of the emptiness realm?" This can be solved by Zhao Fu, but it will also be troublesome. If he can be lured out of the sect, Zhao Fu has enough treasures to kill him outside. However, inside the sect, Zhao Fu doesn't have the ability. Zhao Fu looked at the youth and said, "I can kill this great elder, but I need to seal him out. This can't be rushed." Yu Yi smiled and said, "As long as I can take revenge, it doesn't matter how long it takes." For Yu Yi, there was no hope of taking revenge with his ability. He could only rely on Zhao Fu. When he heard that Zhao Fu could take revenge, he was very happy. After a while, he would be finished. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's leave this place first." Yu Yi smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu took Yu Yi to the outside of the sect. Then he asked Yu Yi to write a letter, telling the great elder called Ku Shang to go to the mountains in the west if he wanted to obtain the water world. In a spacious room, a strong old man with a porcupine head looked at the letter in his hand and sneered. "So it's him who has been assassinating the disciples of the sect." He was Ku Shang, the great elder of the sect. Chapter 32:20. Book 1. Chapter 165. Ku Shang turned the letter to ashes and planned to go there alone. He was confident that with his strength, it would be easy to kill Yu Yi and take the treasure. At this moment, a beautiful woman in a blue dress with an enchanting figure walked in and asked, "Where are you going?" The beautiful woman had a purple fish scale between her eyebrows and emitted the aura of the water race's bloodline. This person's name was Yu Shaoling. She was also a member of the water race, and a high-grade one at that. A year ago, she came to this place to find the water world of 8 directions and used her bitter cultivation to help her obtain it. Of course, bitter cultivation did not help Yu Shaoling for free. He wanted to obtain the support of Yu Shaoling's family and make it the sect master. He had been eyeing the position of sect master for more than 100 years. Although he had nurtured a force in the sect, He was not completely confident in obtaining the position. The eight-directional water world was useless to a human like him. He felt that it was worth it to use it to become the sect master. Yu Shaoling smiled and said, "Since the eight-directional water world is in his hands, things will be easier. Leave it to me." Hearing this, Bitter Cultivation nodded. Yu Shaoling turned and left. She came to a secret room. There was a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure and a charming temperament. Her hands were tied up by a chain, and there were many scars on her body. She also had a fish scale between her eyebrows and emitted the same bloodline aura as Yu Shaoling. She was Yu Ye's mother, Yu Qiye. She was also from the same clan as Yu Shaoling. More accurately, Yu Qiye was Yu Shaoling Sr. because Yu Shaoling was the saintess of this generation. Yu Shaoling looked at Yu Qiye and smiled as she said, "So the eight-directional water world is in your son's hands? And you said you've never seen it before? You're not willing to say it after torturing you for so long? You're a traitor of the clan." Yu Qiye's expression changed. He said, "I don't understand what you're saying." Yu Shaoling chuckled and said, "Why are you acting like you don't know? You don't know, right? That stupid son of yours said it himself. The omniscient water world was in his hands. I still need to go to a place to get the bitter wounds." Yu Qiye hurriedly said, "I can let my son give you the omniscient water world. Please spare my son this once." "Pa!" Yu Shaoling slapped Yu Qiye in the face, said ruthlessly, "It's too late now. Would I kill your stupid son in front of you, and then bring a traitor like you back to the clan? Let the people in the clan punish you? Do you know the consequences of stealing a holy relic?" Yu Qiye's face was pale. Stealing the sacred object of his race would cause him to endure the endless pain of being skinned and flayed. In other words, his scales would be peeled off one by one, and even his skin would be peeled off, and he wouldn't die right away. This is a kind of pain ordinary people cannot bear. Yu Qiye looked at Yu Shaoling with tears in his eyes. "I can go back and accept my punishment, but I beg you to let my son go. He has nothing to do with this." Yu Shaoling snorted coldly. "He's your son? How does he have nothing to do with you? You slut caused our clan to search for the holy relic for so many years. This is retribution." Then, Yu Shaoling left the secret chamber and got someone to write a letter for Yu Yi. She told him to bring the omniscient water world to the sect, or else she would kill his mother. Yu Shaoling easily guessed that Yu Yi must have a plot to bring bitter wounds to that place, so she used Yu Ye's plan to get Yu Qiye to come over. Yu Shaoling revealed a faint smile. "Humph, this kid still wants to play tricks with me." After Yu Yi received the letter, he was pleasantly surprised. "My mother isn't dead. That's great. I thought she was killed too." Zhao Fu frowned. He didn't expect that his plan would fail, and he would be the one being targeted instead. Yu Yi looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I want to save my mother." Zhao Fu said, "He wants you to go to the sect. Even if I go, I might not be able to survive. If you go, you'll just be sending yourself to death." Yu Yi insisted, "I know, but that's my mother. I must save her, or else they will kill my mother." Zhao Fu let out a breath and said, "I know it's your mother, and I don't object to you saving her. But not now. If you go like this, not only will you not be able to save your mother, but you will also harm her. We'll do it step by step." Yu Yi said worriedly, "If I don't go, I'm worried that they will harm my mother." Zhao Fu said, "They want the omniscient water world. As long as you don't hand it over, your mother will not die. Don't worry." Hearing this, Yu Yi nodded. "What should we do now?" Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, "You also write a letter. If they dare to harm your mother, you will destroy the omniscient water world." Yu Yi said, "The omniscient water world is abnormally hard. Rumor has it that even immortals are unable to destroy it." Zhao Fu said with an awkward expression, "Then throw it in a place where no one can find it. They will never be able to find it." "Oh," Yu Yi replied. Yu Shaoling, who received the letter, had a cold expression. She immediately wanted to chop off Yu Qiye's head and send it over, but she was worried that she really wouldn't be able to find the omniscient water world. Bitter said, "If that's the case, I might as well go find that kid." Yu Shaoling said with a smile, "That kid isn't stupid. Even if you go, it will be a wasted trip. Anyway, his mother is in our hands, and he will definitely come to save her. We just need to wait." Bitter thought for a moment and nodded. Zhao Fu was having a headache. With his current strength, he didn't dare to force his way in. Sneaking into the sect would also be very difficult, so he didn't know what to do. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu decided to do a thorough investigation. Zhao Fu received some information. It turned out that the elders who had been so overbearing were from the Bitter branch. Their branch was now very strong, and even the branch of the sect master was somewhat wary of them. That was why they were so overbearing and arrogant. Presumably, the sect master also wanted to get rid of Bitter. Zhao Fu wanted to work with this sect master. After thinking things through, Zhao Fu immediately wrote a letter to the sect master. A mighty middle-aged man sat at the top of the hall. He was the sect master, and his name was Serene. His cultivation was at the upper stage of the Void Realm, a bit lower than Bitter's. After reading it, Serene sank into contemplation as he held the letter in his hand. He had been enduring Bitter's actions because now was not a good time to make the situation awkward. He definitely wanted to get rid of Bitter, but was this person trustworthy? Could it be this person's scheme? If Serene agreed and Bitter leaked the information, it would immediately cause a civil war within the sect, and he could then save Bitter. Serene was in a bit of a dilemma. He was worried that he would fall into a trap, but he didn't want to miss this opportunity. In the end, Serene decided to talk to Zhao Fu first. After receiving the reply, Zhao Fu was willing to meet the sect master. Chapter 32-21. Book 1. Chapter 166. The two agreed to meet at a place. Serene stared at Zhao Fu in disbelief and asked, "You said that you can kill Ku Shang?" Zhao Fu nodded. Serene felt that he was being teased and said angrily, "Do you know that Ku Shang is at the pinnacle of the emptiness realm? Even I'm not his match. How can you, a lower emptiness realm expert, kill him? Do you know that both of us can detect each other?" Zhao Fu looked at Serene with a smile. Boom! An incomparably powerful force gushed out of Zhao Fu's body and spread out like a surging ocean. The heavens and the earth seemed to tremble. Serene stared at Zhao Fu in shock. He felt as if his body had fallen into the sea and he had no strength to struggle. The fear of death spread out from his heart. This was the first time he felt such a terrifying force. It seemed to be even stronger than that of a mighty expert. This was the strength that Zhao Fu could display with his full strength. However, it was still not as strong as the strength of a mighty expert. Zhao Fu's strength was too high. Zhao Fu withdrew his power and said with a smile, "Now, do you think I have the ability to kill Ku Shang?" Serene came back to his senses and asked, "Who are you?" Only the top geniuses of the human realm could display such terrifying power at such a young age. Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "It's best that you don't know. Now, let's talk about cooperation." Serene smiled and said, "No problem." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "You just need to let me enter the sect and transfer the others away. Otherwise, if they come to help, I can kill Ku Shang. As for the other things, I don't want them." Serene said with a smile, "Only a fool would refuse such a good offer. I will transfer the others away. Thank you for your help." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You're welcome." Then Zhao Fu thought of something and said, "By the way, I also want to take a woman with me." Serene said with a smile, "Take your mother with you, right?" "Sure." Zhao Fu couldn't help but chuckle and said, "I think you misunderstood. That person is not my mother. I was just a passerby and did this because someone asked me to do it." Serene looked at Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "I thought that you were the same person who assassinated my sect disciple. It seems that Ku Shang and his group offended someone they can't afford to offend. When do you plan to do it?" Zhao Fu said, "Tonight." Serene nodded and said, "Tonight." Serene smiled and nodded. Yi asked with concern, "How is it?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's going very smoothly. Tonight, I'll kill Ku Shang and save your mother. You could just wait here." Yu Tian said, "Thank you so too." Tian, 2, 1. Fu said, "You," and said, 2. Serene immediately made preparations to move everyone away from the area. Even if there were people in the vicinity, they had to be his men. This was an extremely good thing for him. If he could get rid of this threat, he would be able to rest easy in the future. A crescent moon hung alone in the night sky, without a single star to accompany it. The night seemed plain and dim. Kushang walked to the side and didn't notice anything wrong. He just felt that it was a bit quiet. Boom! A figure suddenly appeared behind Kushang and punched towards Kushang's back with destructive power. Kushang was shocked. He quickly tried to block. Bang! That punch sent Kushang flying. He hit a few walls before stopping. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. In order to quickly deal with Kushang, Zhao Fu chose this sneak attack. Ku looked at Zhao Fu with an ugly expression and said, if he hadn't concentrated his power on his back, he might have been killed by this person. Zhao Fu looked at Kushang coldly and immediately rushed forward. Kushang roared. His clothes burst open, revealing his strong muscles. He punched back with all his strength. 5 fists containing different powers blasted towards Zhao Fu. It seemed that they could pierce through the void. Zhao Fu looked at Kushang. Kushang took a blow from him and still had such power. If Zhao Fu's cultivation was a bit higher, he should be able to kill Kushang with one blow. Facing Kushang's attack, Zhao Fu also punched out. A super terrifying force blasted forward. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the 2 waves of power collided. A berserk gale blew out, destroying the ground and causing rocks to fly everywhere. Kushang was blasted away by this force. Zhao Fu stood in place and didn't move. Seeing this, Kushang understood that he was definitely not this person's opponent. He didn't know who this person was and why his power was so terrifying. Kushang didn't hesitate and hurriedly turned and ran. Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and shot forwards, his leg giving off terrifying power as he kicked horizontally towards Kushang. Kushang hurriedly dodged to the side, avoiding Zhao Fu's attack. However, Zhao Fu used this momentum to spin around and kick Kushang back. Kushang fell to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. His face was pale as he shouted, "Help!" At this moment, Kushang understood that he couldn't escape and could only hope that someone would come. There were many experts and countless disciples in the sect. However, no one responded to him. Kushang understood why it was so quiet, and he quickly understood that the sect master had colluded with outsiders to kill him. Boom! Kushang looked furious and exploded out with all of his power. That terrifying power caused the ground to continuously crack and blasts of air to blow out. Kushang unexpectedly took the initiative to attack Zhao Fu. He quickly rushed in front of Zhao Fu and punched towards Zhao Fu's head. Zhao Fu used his arm to block and blocked that shocking punch, but he also took a step back. Kushang immediately punched out again, causing a massive explosion to sound out. Zhao Fu used his hand to grab this punch and vigorously kicked out, hitting Kushang's abdomen and sending him sliding 6 or 7 meters away. Zhao Fu's body flashed and disappeared, appearing in front of Kushang, and he punched towards Kushang's heart. Kushang controlled the power within his body, and his body was covered by a layer of light. Bang! Kushang was sent flying, but he didn't seem to be seriously injured. Seeing this, Zhao Fu directly took out the Sky Demon Sword and quickly rushed towards Kushang. Kushang punched the ground hard, and a powerful force spread out like an arc wave, instantly collapsing the ground. Zhao Fu leapt into the air and slashed towards Kushang. Kushang blocked with his hands, and his arms were covered by an even more powerful light. Chi! Zhao Fu's sword slashed down, cutting open a wound on Kushang's arms and causing blood to flow out. Kushang didn't seem to have thought that Zhao Fu would be able to break through his defenses so easily. Shing! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu once again slashed towards Kushang, bringing with it a massive black sword light. Chapter 32-22 Book 1 Zhao Fu's Sword Strike. Kushang hurriedly dodged and avoided Zhao Fu's sword strike before turning around and running away. Zhao Fu once again slashed out, hitting Kushang's back and opening up a wound. Kushang endured the pain and did not stop, and he continued to run away. Looking at Ku Shang's fleeing figure, Zhao Fu raised his sword with one hand and gathered a massive amount of power into the sword, causing it to give off a massive amount of demonic qi. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out, and a massive sword light containing a power that seemed to be able to cut through everything quickly slashed forwards. Ku Shang was sent flying by the sword strike and fell to the ground, coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu coldly smiled as he walked in front of Ku Shang. Ku Shang coldly looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Who are you? I don't think I've offended you. Why do you want to kill me?" Zhao Fu said, "You don't need to know." Following this, Zhao Fu swung the sword in his hand, sending out a sword light and cutting off Ku Shang's head. Blood spurted out of Ku Shang's neck and flowed all over the ground. Shikuan walked out and looked at Ku Shang's death as he smiled and said, "Thank you. The person you're going to save is in a building in the southeast." Zhao Fu nodded and flew in that direction. Shikuan immediately called people over and started to purge Ku Shang's faction. They completely cleared out the hidden dangers within the sect. Zhao Fu found that building and was just about to enter when an enchanting woman walked out. She was Yu Shaoling, and she did not know what had happened. Yu Shaoling frowned as she looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Where are you from? Didn't I say that you can't get close to this place?" Zhao Fu chuckled and disappeared, reappearing in front of Yu Shaoling. Yu Shaoling's expression changed, and she sent a palm strike towards Zhao Fu's chest. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed Yu Shaoling's hand. Yu Shaoling's cultivation was only at the Emperor Heaven realm and was not a match for Zhao Fu at all. Yu Shaoling struggled, trying to pull her hand out. Zhao Fu picked her up with a smile and walked into the building. Yu Shaoling struggled a few times to no avail, so she changed her attitude and said with a smile, "Who are you? Why are you doing this to me?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'm here to save someone." Yu Shaoling's expression turned cold. "You're that traitor's son? How can you be so powerful?" Zhao Fu felt speechless as he said, "I'm not. You're mistaken. I was asked by his son to save his mother." Yu Shaoling smiled as she said, "What did he pay you? As long as you're willing to listen to me, I'll pay you 10 times the amount." Zhao Fu looked at her and smiled as he said, "He gave me the omniscient water world as payment. Can you give me 10? Yu Shaoling said somewhat angrily, "The omniscient water world is our race's holy item." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "But it belongs to me now." Yu Shaoling looked at Zhao Fu and said, "It's useless to you. You're a human and cannot use the omniscient water world. I'm sure that if you give it to me, the benefits will be greater than you can imagine." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "What benefits?" Yu Shaoling tempted him. "For example, I can become your woman." Zhao Fu laughed and said, "Even if I don't give it to you, you'll still become my woman. Do you really think I can't use the omniscient water world?" Yu Shaoling snorted, "I don't believe you." At this moment, Zhao Fu had already walked into the secret room with Yu Shaoling in his arms. He looked at the hanging Yu Qiye, who was Yu Qiye's mother. Yu Qiye looked at Zhao Fu, who was holding Yu Shaoling, and had a strange expression. He didn't know Zhao Fu's identity. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Qiye and smiled as he said, "I was asked by Li's son to save you. I've also killed Ku Shang." Yu Shaoling was shocked. Ku Shang actually died, and she didn't know anything. Yu Qiye was pleasantly surprised. She asked in disbelief, "Is this true?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "I can let you go now and take you to see your son." Yu Qiye smiled and said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You're welcome." Yu Qiye's clothes were very tattered and couldn't cover her body. Zhao Fu's gaze was attracted to her. Yu Qiye blushed. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let me treat your injuries first." Yu Qiye nodded. A few hours later, Yu Qiye's face was red. She looked at the man in front of her. She didn't know why, but she was very attracted to him. Zhao Fu hugged Yu Qiye and said, "Your injuries are almost healed." Yu Qiye nodded. She wasn't angry that Zhao Fu used such a method to treat her. Yu Shaoling snorted, "You damn bastard. I'm telling you, you're dead." Zhao Fu hugged her and smiled. "Tell me how I'm dead?" Yu Shaoling glared at Zhao Fu. "You dare to do such a thing to me and steal my clan's sacred item." My clan won't let you off. Zhao Fu smiled disdainfully. Even if you didn't say it, I would have gone to your clan myself. Yu Shaoling was stunned. What do you mean? Zhao Fu smiled and said, my destination is the water domain. Your clan is related to the 8-direction water world. I have to go take a look. Yu Shaoling frowned. Who are you? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I'm not telling. Yu Shaoling turned her face away angrily. Zhao Fu smiled and said to Yu Qie, let's go. Yu Qie nodded. After leaving the secret room, Shikuan had been waiting for a while. Seeing Zhao Fu come out with the 2 women, he smiled and said, I've already gotten rid of the bitter scar lineage. I want to invite you to stay and celebrate. I wonder if you'll do me the honor. Zhao Fu smiled and said, apologies. I have other things to take care of. Hearing this, Shikuan smiled and said, it's fine. In the future, you'll be my sect's esteemed guest. I'll welcome you whenever you come. Zhao Fu nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu brought the 2 women back to the mountain region. Seeing her mother return, Yu Ye's tears flowed out. She rushed over and cried, Mother! Yu Qie hugged Yu Yi and cried happily. She said softly, I didn't think that we would meet again one day. This is great. Yu Shaoling looked at this scene and revealed an unhappy expression. Zhao Fu smiled and said, now that bitter scar is dead and I've saved your mother, the deal is done. Yu Yi wiped her tears and said gratefully, many thanks to you this time. Yu Qie was puzzled and asked, what deal? Yu Yi replied, I used the 8-direction water world as a reward for this lord to help me kill bitter scar and save you, mother. Yu Qie understood and looked at Zhao Fu and couldn't help but sigh. Yu Yi asked, what's wrong, mother? Yu Qie said, back then, I brought the 8-direction crystal out to stop the Patriarch's plan. I've been carefully preserving it all these years. I gave it to you in hopes that it will be useful to you. Chapter 32-23. Book 1. Chapter 168. I'm useless. I can't gain the approval of the omniscient world. Yu Qie comforted her. You don't need to feel sorry. Although the omniscient world is our race's sacred object, it's very difficult for us to gain its approval. As a saintess, I could only use a little of its power. Yu Qie was shocked. Even mother can only use a little? Then what kind of person can use its full power? Yu Qie smiled. It should be someone who can change the fate of the water race. Yu Shaoling asked, what plan did you say you wanted to stop the chief? Yu Qie thought for a moment and said, there's no harm in telling you now. Our chief wants to use our race's blood as a sacrifice to refine the omniscient world and become an omniscient blood immortal, controlling all the power of the world. Yu Shaoling's expression changed. Are you telling the truth? Yu Qie looked seriously at Yu Shaoling. Do you think there's a need for me to lie to you? If I hadn't stopped the chief back then, our race would have been destroyed. Yu Shaoling's expression was unsightly. Would the chief really be so vicious as to use our race as a sacrifice? Yu Qie said, do you know about the 2,400 altars the chief built back then? That was something used as a blood sacrifice. Back then, I couldn't stop the chief with my own power, so I chose to steal the omniscient world. If you still don't want to believe me, then I have nothing to say. Yu Shaoling said, didn't you defect for a man back then? Yu Qie shook his head. Back then, Yu Ye's father accidentally intruded into our race and caused chaos. I used this opportunity to escape with the omniscient world. Later on, we were together. Hearing this, Yu Shaoling looked at Yu Qie with complicated feelings. She hadn't expected that the traitor, the sinner of the race, had actually saved her people. Yu Qie sighed. I didn't expect that you would find us even after we fled so far. My father lost his life because of this. Yu Shaoling said guiltily, I'm sorry. Yu Qie stared at Yu Shaoling. Yu Shaoling was still her man and had tortured her for so long. She didn't answer her. Yu Qie couldn't forgive her now, even if she was used. Yu Yi said angrily, you're also related to my father? I'll kill you. Yu Yi took out a dagger and swung at Yu Shaoling. Yu Shaoling stepped back and dodged Yu Ye's attack. Yu Qie stopped Yu Yi and said, calm down. Yu Yi didn't attack anymore, but looked at Yu Shaoling angrily. Yu Shaoling didn't say anything either. Zhao Fu smiled. Are you guys done? Yu Qie looked at Zhao Fu. Now that they were Zhao Fu's women, she said, "We have nothing more to say." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm a bit curious. What is the eight-direction blood immortal?" Yuchiye frowned. "Why are you asking this?" Although Yuchiye liked Zhao Fu, she wouldn't allow Zhao Fu to use her clan for a blood sacrifice. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm just curious." Yuchiye said, "It's our clan's most powerful forbidden art. It's also the art of our clan's decline. It has supreme power and can strike fear into all domains. Back then, in order to resist the invasion of powerful enemies, we sacrificed more than half of our clansmen and killed countless experts." Zhao Fu nodded and said, "I want to borrow your blood." Yuchiye said coldly, "If you want to use our clan for a blood sacrifice, I'll definitely stop you." Zhao Fu chuckled. "I don't want to use that method to control the eight-direction water world. I want your blood for another purpose." Yuchiye heaved a sigh of relief. "What purpose do you have?" Zhao Fu didn't answer and reached out with his hand. Yuchiye and Yu Shaoling's bodies shook, and they felt their blood rush to the space between their eyebrows. A small ball of essence blood flew out of the scale and flew in front of Zhao Fu. Looking at the two orbs of blood in his hands, Zhao Fu opened his mouth and swallowed them. After entering Zhao Fu's body, the two orbs of blood were immediately covered by a powerful energy and turned into a wave of bloodline power that spread out. A violet light shot out from between Zhao Fu's eyebrows, and a violet fish scale appeared. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Yu Shaoling couldn't help but say, "How did you grow purple scales that only our clan's high-grade bloodlines have?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "This is my ability." Following this, Zhao Fu took out the eight-direction water world and poured some energy into it. There was no longer a repulsive force like last time. Instead, there was an unprecedented excitement. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the omniscient water world exploded out with a massive amount of power, and a massive shockwave spread out. This shockwave forced Yu Shaoling and the others back 10 or so meters. Only Zhao Fu stood there without moving at all. The eight-direction water world gave off a wave of water power that slowly rose into the sky. Heaven and earth power gathered and poured into the eight-direction water world. The eight-direction water world continuously absorbed heaven and earth power and gave off boundless blue light. A massive wave of water power covered the world, causing the surrounding space to become extremely moist. Not only did the air contain a large amount of water, but the water droplets also condensed on the stones and leaves. Many of the nearby forces also sensed this powerful wave of water, and they all looked in that direction. Shikuan stood outside and looked at the sky in shock. He didn't know what had happened, but it seemed to be near his sect. Shikuan thought about it and immediately flew over. Heaven and earth power continuously flowed in, and the aura that the eight-direction water world gave off became more and more powerful. Splash! A massive sound rang out as the eight-direction water world gave off a wave of blue light that spread out. It was as if everyone had come to a world of water. There were countless happily swimming fish, beautiful shells, prawns and crabs crawling on the ground, colorful corals, all kinds of aquatic plants, and strange-looking stones. Even though it looked quite beautiful, it contained an immense amount of water power. The creatures in the surroundings felt as if a world was weighing down on them, and despair and terror flooded out from their hearts. Yuchiye and the others were pressed to the ground by this wave of water, unable to move. Only Zhao Fu stood there as if nothing had happened. Boom! The eight-direction water world flooded towards Zhao Fu, continuously pouring into Zhao Fu's chest, and an incredibly powerful ripple spread out. Yuchiye and the others' hearts trembled as they looked at this scene in shock. This was the first time they had seen the eight-direction water world recognize a master, and it did not seem to be difficult at all. The eight-direction water world itself seemed to be very happy, as if it had found a good master. Chapter 32-24. Book 1, Chapter 169. Water, however, the key point was that this person wasn't a member of the water tribe. They had personally witnessed this person absorb their blood and become a member of the water tribe who shared the same bloodline as them. This was completely beyond their understanding. Their hearts were thumping, and they did not know what to say. In the end, the water world completely entered Zhao Fu's body, and the surroundings returned to normal as if nothing had happened. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and sensed the powerful water within his body. There was also a fist-sized water world within his body, and it looked just like before. Now, Zhao Fu could control all of the water world's power. Only Zhao Fu would be able to do this so easily. After Zhao Fu had awakened the outer world star, Zhao Fu's constitution and power could not be described with words. The water world was naturally very happy and excited to have such a master, as it could not find anyone who could surpass Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu opened his eyes and looked at the three people lying on the ground, staring at him, and he smiled as he said, "Get up." Hearing this, the three of them came back to their senses. Yu Shaoling could not help but ask, "Just who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Take a guess." Yu Qies slowly said, "You're the heaven-awakened sun with 8 supreme emperor stars, right?" Zhao Fu looked quite startled and lightly laughed as he said, "How did you guess?" Hearing that this man was the legendary heaven-awakened sun, Yu Shaoling and Yu Qies' minds seemed to explode. Yu Qie also looked quite shocked. In actuality, she was not too sure and had never thought that Zhao Fu would really be the heaven-awakened sun. Yu Qie replied, "With such perfect looks and extraordinary aura, as well as the water race's supreme treasure recognizing him as its master, I can't think of anyone else apart from the heaven-awakened sun." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "You're smarter than I thought." Yu Qie said nervously and excitedly, "Heaven-awakened sun, are you going to the water race to awaken the water race's emperor stars?" Zhao Fu nodded with a smile. Yu Yi continued to say, "After awakening the water race's emperor star, you will have 8 race emperor stars, and you will be the master of the entire heaven-awakened world. You should be able to lead us to defend against the invasion of 2 worlds, right?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu thought about the heaven-awakened world's current situation and said, "I'm not sure about that right now, but if it's possible, I'll do my best to save the heaven-awakened world." Yu Yi smiled and said, "That's great. If the 2 worlds invade, who knows how many people's families will be destroyed? You are our heaven-awakened world's hope." Looking at Yu Ye's passionate expression, Zhao Fu's heart also felt a little heavy. He felt a sense of pressure, a pressure of believing in him. At this moment, Shikuan also flew over. Seeing that Zhao Fu and the others were there, he knew that the massive energy fluctuations had been caused by Zhao Fu. After experiencing Zhao Fu's power, Shikuan didn't find it strange at all. Shikuan walked over with a smile. "So that's what you were talking about. I'm truly impressed by your strength." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You praise me too much, sect master." Shikuan smiled as he said, "Do you have any business with me, sir? Would you like to come to my sect?" By now, Shikuan understood just how powerful Zhao Fu was, so he wanted to befriend Zhao Fu even more. He hadn't heard what Zhao Fu had just said, so he didn't know that Zhao Fu was a heaven-awakened son. Zhao Fu couldn't refuse Shikuan, so he nodded and agreed. After arriving at the sect, Zhao Fu saw the sect's disciples escorting a group of people to the side. There were men and women, elderly and children, and they all looked quite dejected and despondent. Some of them even had wounds on their bodies. When a mature-looking woman saw Yu Shaoling, she immediately ran over and knelt on the ground, crying as she said, "Sir, please save us." Yu Shaoling recognized the woman in front of her. She was one of Ku Shang's subordinates' wives, and she was called Qing Lu. She was the wife of the elder in gray who had attacked Zhao Fu back then. The others looked at Yu Shaoling and also ran over and knelt on the ground. They were all people from the Ku Shang faction and were being taken to be executed. This was the consequence of failing to seize power. Not only would they die, but their families would also be killed. A beautiful woman in a red dress cried as she said, "It doesn't matter if I die. Please save my daughter. She's innocent." She was the wife of the elder in red who had attacked Zhao Fu, and she was called Honglan. There's also a beautiful woman next to her, and she was most likely her daughter. A beautiful woman with a seductive figure and fair skin cried as she said, I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Please. She was the fat elder's wife, and she was called Shue Sui. A tall and beautiful woman cried as she said, My husband was just muddle-headed. Please help us, sir. We'll definitely be grateful to sir. She was the wife of the elder who had attacked Zhao Fu, and she was called Liang Hui. There were 60 or so people kneeling and begging for mercy. Yu Shaoling looked at these people and sighed as she said, It's useless even if you beg me. I'm someone else's prisoner. Shikuan looked at these people and frowned as he said, Hurry up and take them away to be executed. The disciples immediately wanted to drag these people away. Those people were still struggling and crying as they begged Yu Shaoling. Yu Shaoling looked at Zhao Fu and said, Hurry up and beg him. He can save you. Hearing this, everyone once again knelt in front of Zhao Fu and begged, Sir, save us. Zhao Fu looked at Shikuan and smiled as he said, Leave them to me. Shikuan did not mind and smiled as he said, Sure. Everyone happily thanked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a slight smile and had people take these people away. The banquet ended. Zhao Fu brought Yu Shaoling and Yu Qia back to the room. At this moment, there were already 20 or so women in the room. They knew why Zhao Fu had called them here, but in order to live and for their families, they had still come here and had put on a lot of effort. Hong Lan smiled charmingly as she threw herself into Zhao Fu's embrace. Thank you, sir, for saving our lives. I'm yours now. Zhao Fu laughed lightly and did not stand on ceremony. The next day, Yu Qia looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What do you plan to do next? Zhao Fu said, We'll leave soon. Hong Lan smiled as she said, Sir, you have to bring us along. Liang Hui looked nervously at Zhao Fu and said, We'll serve you well. Please take us away from here. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, No, you have to stay here. Hearing this, the women's expressions changed. With their status, they would never be safe if they stayed in this sect. A beautiful woman called Nanua cried as she said, Sir, please take us away. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Don't worry, you're only staying here temporarily. Once I'm done with my matters, I'll take you away. I'm the reason why the sect master hurt you. Hearing this, the women all heaved sighs of relief. Chapter 32-25 Book 1 Chapter 170 translated by Hypersheep 325 edited by Mike. Here Zhao Fu looked at Yu Qia and Yu Shaoling and said, The two of you will follow me to the water region. Yu Qia asked, What about my son? Zhao Fu said, He will stay at the sect and will smile a lot along the way. Yu Qia thought about it and nodded. Hong Lan said flirtatiously, You have to come back soon. We'll be waiting for you. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Got it. The elders who had attacked Zhao Fu were not only heavily injured by Zhao Fu, but they had also lost their lives because of Zhao Fu. In the end, their wives and daughters had to rely on Zhao Fu to survive. After saying goodbye to the sect, Zhao Fu's group of 3 headed towards the water region. The sounds of battle could be heard in front of them. They saw countless card soldiers surrounding a group of roughly 30,000 people. The leader was a cold-looking youth who gave off the aura of a king. It looked like another group that had been destroyed by the card world. The cold-looking youth was called Wei Qing. He waved his spear and sent 5 or 6 card soldiers flying as he said, I'll take the soldiers to stall them. Jiong, you take the people and break through. A bearded man called Wei Jiong said unwillingly, Your Majesty, I'll take the people and stay behind. You take the queen and the others and escape. Wei Qing said coldly, Their goal is me. If I take the people and escape, none of them will be able to escape. Hurry up, or else we won't have a chance. Hearing this, Wei Jiong steeled his heart and rode to the side of the carriage as he called out, Guards, listen to my orders. Break through from the south. The soldiers guarding the carriages obeyed. They immediately prepared to break through to the south. A noble and cold-looking woman wearing a purple palace dress walked out of the carriage and asked, General Wei, where is my son? This was the Empress Dowager, Wei Qingqing. Wei Jiong replied, "Your Majesty wants to stay behind to stall these card soldiers." Wei Qingqing said coldly, "As the ruler of a country, he is the future of our country. How can he be left behind?" Wei Jiong hurriedly said, "Empress Dowager, this is the only way for us to break through. Let's not waste time." Wei Qingqing said, "I won't go. If my son dies, then I don't want to live either. My royal bloodline will also be severed." Wei Jiong looked anxious. A woman with a gentle temperament walked out of the carriage. She wore a yellow dress and said, "Big sister, don't mess things up. If you keep delaying, no one will be able to leave. Now that the queen has not given birth to any children, we can choose a new king from the collateral line." She was also an old concubine named Wei Wenning. 7 women came out of another carriage, and a beautiful woman with a graceful figure said guiltily, "We didn't give birth to any children of the royal family, so we're willing to die with your majesty." She was Queen Wei Xiao. The other women were also concubines, and they all said, "We're willing to stay and die with your majesty." Looking at these people, Wei Qingqing sighed, "You guys don't have to do this. It's better for you to follow General Wei and break through together." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Wei Qing ferociously stabbed out with her spear. A massive wave of energy turned into a green dragon and rushed forwards, sending a card soldier flying. A yellow-haired man appeared in midair. He looked at Wei Qing and sent him flying with a slash. Wei Qing got up from the ground and quickly attacked the yellow-haired man with her spear. Seeing this, Wei Jiong understood that there was no time to waste, so he immediately yelled, "Let's break through to the south." Wei Jiong rode his horse and charged towards the south, continuously swinging his saber and sending out a few saber lights that killed a few card soldiers. The soldiers followed Wei Jiong and charged forwards. The card soldiers also wanted to gather in that direction, wanted to stop them from breaking through, and the two sides started to fight intensely. A soldier rode his horse and charged forwards, vigorously stabbing out with his spear and piercing through a soldier's chest. A card soldier vigorously shot out an arrow, causing a soldier to fall from his horse. A card soldier swung his sword and chopped off a horse's leg, causing the soldier and horse to fall to the ground. A soldier swung his sword and chopped off a card soldier's head, causing blood to spurt out. A card soldier rode on a horse and charged at the soldiers. It vigorously swung its spear and sent one of the soldiers flying. Another card soldier held a saber and killed another soldier, causing blood to flow to the ground. Seeing this, a general in the card world threw out cards, which flew out and shot into the ground. Countless brambles quickly grew out of the ground, stopping the soldiers. Swish, 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 the arrows shot out, piercing through the soldiers' bodies and causing blood to fly everywhere as cries continuously sounded out. Wei Jiong swung his saber and knocked away a few arrows. An arrow drew an arc and shot into Wei Jiong's arm, but it was blocked by brambles. Wei Jiong's expression was quite unsightly as he called out, "Turn around and break through from the west." Hearing this order, the soldiers immediately turned and headed west. Xing, the yellow-haired man, slashed out with his saber, sending out a massive saber light that contained shocking power towards Wei Qing. Wei Qing blocked with his spear. The saber light slashed against the spear, causing a loud sound to ring out. The ground beneath Wei Qing's feet crumbled, and Wei Qing's legs weakened as he half knelt on the ground. The yellow-haired man appeared in front of Wei Qing and slashed towards him. Wei Qing hurriedly dodged to the side, but a gash was left on his shoulder, causing blood to flow out. Wei Qing's spear continued to attack the yellow-haired man. The yellow-haired man kicked Wei Qing away. Wei Qing crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood, his face becoming pale. The yellow-haired man coldly laughed and said, "You're dead." Wei Qing stood up with great difficulty. The yellow-haired man coldly laughed and continued to attack Wei Qing. Chi. After a few moves, the yellow-haired man slashed out with his saber, cutting open Wei Qing's chest. Blood splattered everywhere, and Wei Qing fell to the ground dead. The soldiers cried out, "Your Majesty!" Seeing Wei Qing die, Wei Xiong looked furious and hateful, and he vigorously slashed at the card soldiers in front of him. He wanted to lead the soldiers to break out of the encirclement and embrace the royal bloodline. Chi! An arrow tore through the air, quickly piercing through Wei Xiong's body. Wei Xiong looked down in disbelief at the arrow that had pierced through his heart, and he powerlessly fell off his horse. "Husband!" A beautiful woman with an armored figure and a pretty face cried out. The continuous deaths of the king and general dealt a heavy blow to the army, causing the soldiers to lose their morale, and some soldiers even wanted to run. The yellow-haired man laughed and said, "Kill them all. Leave no one alive." The card soldiers continued to attack the soldiers, and the soldiers were no longer able to resist the card soldiers. Chapter 32-26. Book 1, Chapter 171. Yu Qiye could not help but say, "Let's help them." Zhao Fu nodded and quickly flew over. Seeing Zhao Fu fly over, the yellow-haired man immediately sensed danger and slashed out with all of his strength. A massive saber energy brought with it a berserk saber wind. Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he vigorously punched out. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the saber energy was blasted apart. A massive gale blew out, sending countless rocks and dust flying, and some card soldiers were blown to the ground. The yellow-haired man's body trembled, and he took a step back as blood leaked out of his lips. His expression was quite unsightly as he called out, "Attack him together!" The card soldiers gave off a wave of power and prepared to gather their power. Zhao Fu coldly laughed and took the lead to attack. Zhao Fu landed on the ground and slammed his palm against the ground, causing a powerful evil power to flow out. Many pale white tendrils grew out, piercing through the card soldiers' chests. The card soldiers howled in pain as blood sprayed everywhere, creating a terrifying and bloody scene. Zhao Fu's wave of attacks disrupted the energy that the card soldiers were trying to gather. Seeing this, the yellow-haired man did not hesitate and yelled, "Retreat!" The card soldiers obeyed and hurriedly retreated. They understood that Zhao Fu was an incredibly terrifying expert and did not dare to stay here. Seeing the card soldiers run, Zhao Fu could not be bothered to chase after them. Seeing the card soldiers run away, the card soldiers let out a sigh of relief, looking as if they had just survived a disaster. Wei Qingqing and the other women came down from the carriage and looked at Wei Qing's corpse. They ran over and started crying, and everyone else gathered around them, looking incredibly pained. A while later, the female general, who was a beautiful middle-aged woman wearing armor, walked over to Zhao Fu and said gratefully, "Thank you, sir, for saving our lives." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "No need to thank me." Yu Qiye and Zhao Fu landed and looked at the scene before them and sighed. This was the current situation of the Heaven Awakened world. Wei Qingqing and the other girls also walked over. "Thank you for saving us." Zhao Fu looked at Wei Qingqing and said with a smile, "Since I saved you, shouldn't you give me some compensation?" Wei Qingqing said, "We will naturally pay you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I want you guys as a reward." Hearing this, the women's expressions fell. They had never thought that they would run into a vicious tiger right after escaping from a wolf's den. Right now, Zhao Fu was even more terrifying than the card soldiers. Wei Qingqing said coldly, "We are the empresses of country. How can we agree to your request?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Then don't blame me." Wei Qingqing said angrily, "You can try. I won't let you succeed even if I die." Yu Shaoling couldn't help but say, "You'd better agree with him. This is also for your own good. Right now, you people can die at any time. As long as you agree, your safety will be guaranteed." Wei Qingqing said arrogantly, "If that's the case, we're willing to die." Wei Winning walked up and looked at Zhao Fu as he said, "I'm willing to agree, but please spare them." Everyone looked quite confused. They had never thought that someone would actually agree. Wei Winning felt quite helpless. Only by doing this would they not die, and the kingdom's legacy not be severed. Wei Qingqing said with a cold expression. Winning. How can you do this? Wei Xiao said, I'm also willing. I'm useless now, and as long as you can promise the royal family's safety, I'm yours. Wei Qingqing felt quite angry. She had never thought that her daughter-in-law would agree. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, No, I want all of them. I'll give you 20 minutes to prepare. Hearing how domineering Zhao Fu was, the women angrily glared at Zhao Fu. Yuchia looked at Zhao Fu, not knowing what to say. 20 minutes later, Zhao Fu brought the women to the grass. There were 200 or so of them, and the women all looked at Zhao Fu with cold and disgusted expressions. After thinking for 20 minutes, they finally agreed to Zhao Fu's humiliating request. Time quickly passed. Zhao Fu hugged Wei Qingqing and smiled as he said, You're the woman I like. Wei Qingqing rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Now that you've paid us, we don't owe each other anything. I'll be leaving now. Wei Huabao pulled back Zhao Fu and said angrily, You fellow, didn't you promise to protect us as long as we agreed? Wei Huabao thought about how her husband had died protecting the royal family, and she wanted to continue protecting the royal family and complete what her husband had not been able to do. As such, she agreed to this request. However, Zhao Fu wanted to leave after playing with them. How could she not be angry? Zhao Fu said like a scumbag, I didn't say that. I don't have time to care about your matters. Wei Huabao scolded angrily. You scumbag, I'll kill you. Wei Huabao got up and pressed Zhao Fu to the ground, while Zhao Fu smiled disdainfully. A few minutes later, Zhao Fu hugged Wei Huabao in his arms and said with a smile, I was just joking with you guys. I'll guarantee your safety. Wei Huabao's face turned red as she lightly snorted. Zhao Fu smiled and said, There's a sect nearby. Just tell them that I told you to go there. The sect master there is very nice and will protect you. Wei Qingqing said coldly, What about you, scumbag? Why aren't you protecting us personally? Zhao Fu said with a smile, I still have to go to the water region. Wei Xiao said gratefully, Thank you. Zhao Fu chuckled and said, You're welcome. This is what I should do. Wei Winning looked at Zhao Fu and asked softly, Who are we to you now? I hope you can give us a proper status and not treat us as casual women. Zhao Fu nodded. I will take you back to be my wives. Wei Winning's face was slightly red as she said, Husband, please take care of us in the future. Wei Qingqing was a little unhappy in her heart. She looked at Wei Winning and called him husband. But now that things had come to this, being his wife was the best choice. Looking at Zhao Fu, Wei Qingqing's heart beat extremely fast. She had to admit that Zhao Fu was very charming. Everyone packed up. Wei Qingqing looked at Zhao Fu, who was about to leave, and her face became red as she called out, Husband, come back soon. Zhao Fu was a little surprised. He smiled at her and nodded. Wei Winning smiled as he said, His identity is quite extraordinary. As his woman, we'll have unimaginable benefits, and we might even be able to restore our country. Wei Qingqing nodded. She now understood why Wei Winning had done this. Thinking about what had just happened, Wei Huabao's face became somewhat red. She felt that she somewhat liked Zhao Fu, but she also felt that she had let her husband down. Everyone went to the sect. Shikuan looked at the women with a look of surprise. He had only left for a short while, and he had already harmed so many women. He had a premonition that many people would come to his sect. Chapter 32-27. Book 1, Chapter 172. End of Book 1. Boom. An explosion sounded out as a powerful shockwave rippled out. Zhao Fu and the others were also stopped by this shockwave. Zhao Fu looked ahead and saw that the battle was most likely in front of them. They continued to fly forwards. There were two people fighting in the sky. One was from the gold refiner race and was a young man with a metallic face. He was called Jin Shi, and the other was from the Tianqi world. He was a young man in black clothes and gave off a cold aura. He was called Lung Mu. Both of them were incredibly powerful and were geniuses. Apart from them fighting in the sky, there were also two groups of people on the ground. One group was from the gold refiner race, while the other group was from the heaven awakened world. Senior apprentice brother, you must win, a young woman wearing a green dress cried out. Lung Mu held a black sword and spun around like a black tornado. A shocking shockwave rippled out as he attacked Jin Shi. Jin Shi raised a hand, and countless traces of golden energy gathered in his palm, forming a golden spear that gave off a powerful aura. Boom! Jin Shi threw out the long spear in his hand. The long spear carried many sharp rays of light and shot towards the black whirlwind with irresistible force. Bang! The spear hit the center of the black tornado, and the powerful sharpness pierced through it. The black tornado dissipated, and Lung Mu was sent flying back, a trace of blood leaking out of his lips. Jin Shi gave a disdainful smile as he said, "This is the strength of your sex, young master?" "I don't think so." The gold refiner race people happily laughed as they called out, "The young master is too powerful. The young master is mighty. The young master is the strongest. The Heaven Awakened World's people are a bunch of trash. They're not even fit to carry the young master's shoes." Lung Mu coldly looked at Jin Shi. The people from the Tianqi world angrily looked at the gold refiner race people. The young woman was so angry that she wanted to rush over, but she was stopped by someone. Jin Shi coldly laughed as he said, "Do you still want to continue? With your strength, you can't defeat me. You should go home and train for a few more years. Oh, I forgot. Perhaps you won't have the chance, because your sect will soon be destroyed by the Jin family. If you beg for mercy now, I can consider not killing you in the future." Lung Mu said coldly, "Don't go too far." Jin Shi smiled contemptuously. "So what if I bully you? You Heaven Awakened World people are all trash. It's hard to even find an opponent." Lung Mu's heart was filled with anger, and he was about to rush over. At this moment, a voice sounded. "You're a little too confident." Zhao Fu didn't want to get involved, but after hearing Jin Shi insult people from the Heaven Awakened World, he felt quite displeased. Jin Shi looked at Zhao Fu and smiled. "I'm just that confident." "Looking at you. Do you want to compete with me?" Zhao Fu smiled. "As long as you can injure me in 3 moves, I'll spare your life." His words were so arrogant that everyone present was shocked. The people on the Heaven Awakened World side looked at Zhao Fu in curiosity and started to discuss who Zhao Fu was and why he would say such a thing. Even their senior apprentice brother was so powerful, and yet he wasn't a match for Jin Shi. How could this person be a match for Jin Shi? The people from the Heaven Awakened World were quite angry. This person is even more arrogant than our young master. Does he not know our young master's power? Haha, what a joke. Who is this person? He doesn't know what's good for him. He won't be able to injure him in 3 moves? I think our young master will be able to kill him in 1 move. That's right. With our young master's strength, he'll be able to easily kill him. I want to see how he dies. Since he dares to say such arrogant words, I'll chop up his corpse and feed it to the dogs. Jin Shi laughed. Are you sure? Zhao Fu smiled as he replied. I'm sure. Jin Shi smiled as he said, then let's see just how strong you are. Jin Shi was about to rush over to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood there and said, wait. Jin Shi lightly laughed. What, are you scared? It's not too late for you to beg me. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm just reminding you that I'll stand there and let you attack. You only have 3 chances, so don't waste them. Jin Shi became furious and instantly disappeared, appearing in front of Zhao Fu. The golden sword in his hand gave off an intense sword light, and he swung it with all his strength. The sword brought with it a terrifying power as it slashed towards Zhao Fu, as if it could split a mountain. At this moment of danger, an energy barrier appeared around Zhao Fu's body, covering Zhao Fu's body. Boom! The sword slashed against the barrier, causing golden light to shoot out and a shocking shockwave to spread out. Feeling this power, everyone's bodies became cold, and they revealed shocked expressions. Even though this sword was terrifying, it was still unable to break through Zhao Fu's barrier. Jin Shi retreated, and his expression became serious. He understood that the person in front of him was indeed very powerful, or else he would not have been able to block such a powerful sword. The people from the heaven-awakened world looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "First attack." Jin Shi coldly harumphed and raised a hand. Metal energy gathered, forming a metal spear, and a powerful aura covered the surroundings. Jin Shi had used this attack to defeat Lung Mu. Lung Mu watched seriously. As someone who had personally experienced this attack, he understood how terrifying it was. Everyone became nervous at this moment. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Jin Shi threw out his spear with all of his strength. The spear gave off a metallic light as it shot towards Zhao Fu like a bolt of lightning. Bang! The spear slammed against the defensive barrier, and shockwaves of light containing shocking power spread out like wild gales, causing the trees to sway and everyone to be blown back. This attack's power was even more terrifying than the previous one. The metal spear's power gradually weakened before dissipating, and Zhao Fu's barrier was still not broken. Zhao Fu lightly smiled as he looked at Jin Shi and said, "Second attack." Everyone looked shocked and felt that Zhao Fu was incredibly powerful. Such a terrifying attack had been unable to break through Zhao Fu's barrier. If it had been them, they would have long since died, and their corpses would not have been left behind. Lung Mu felt some admiration for Zhao Fu. He had not been able to block this attack at all. Jin Shi looked at Zhao Fu and felt a wave of pressure. This person's strength had truly surprised him, and now there was only one attack left. Jin Shi breathed out and closed his eyes. He held his golden sword in front of him and sent all of his power into it. The golden sword ignited with a golden aura flame, and a massive might descended, weighing down on everyone's bodies, causing them to feel their bodies sink. This was the final attack, and the power that it gave off was many times more terrifying than before. Chapter 32-28. Book 1, Golden Flame Slash. Jin Shi suddenly opened his eyes and coldly cried out, "Sacred Heaven Golden Flame Slash." Boom! Jin Shi slashed out, and a very long fiery sword light slashed towards Zhao Fu, slamming into the defensive barrier. Countless golden flames devoured Zhao Fu, forming a massive golden fireball, and a terrifying power spread out. The air seemed to twist and become blurry, and many trees and boulders were shattered as the ground cracked. Everyone hurriedly unleashed their defenses, feeling an intense sense of terror. Their bodies uncontrollably trembled, and it was very rare for them to feel such intense terror. Lung Mu looked quite shocked, and he had to admit that Jin Shi was indeed more powerful than him. In their battle, just then, Jin Shi had not used his full strength, and this attack was Jin Shi's true strength. The massive golden fireball slowly became smaller and smaller before disappearing. Zhao Fu was still completely unharmed, and he stood there calmly. Everyone looked quite shocked. He had not been injured at all? How could this person be so powerful? Jin Shi looked quite confused, and he felt quite bitter. He was quite famous in the card world, and he was a genius that everyone looked up to. However, even though he had used his full strength, he had not been able to harm a single hair on Zhao Fu's head. He was indeed quite powerful, but he did not know who he was facing. After all, Zhao Fu was someone who had already reached the boundary of the mortal world. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Third attack." Zhao Fu had said that if Jin Shi could injure him in 3 attacks, he would not kill him. Now, Jin Shi had not been able to injure Zhao Fu in 3 attacks. Boom! Zhao Fu slammed out with his palm, and a powerful energy blasted towards Jin Shi. Jin Shi immediately used his sword to block, but he was still sent flying. The aura within his body became chaotic, and he felt quite uncomfortable. The goldsmith masters hurriedly called out, "Young chief, let's hurry and run." Hearing this, Jin Shi did not hesitate as he turned around and flew backwards. The goldsmith people on the ground also scattered, and not a single one of them dared to stay. Seeing the gold refiner people flee in such a sorry state, the heaven-awakened world's people all smiled happily and felt that they had vented their anger. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu with admiration and respect. Lung Mu flew to Zhao Fu's side and said, "Thanks for your help just now." Zhao Fu smiled. "You're welcome." Lung Mu asked curiously, "Sir, are you from Emperor Path College?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "No." Lung Mu felt quite surprised. He felt that since Zhao Fu was so powerful, he was definitely from Emperor Path College. He smiled and said, "Our sect is nearby. How about going to our sect to have a look?" Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, "I still have something to do, so there's no need." Following this, Zhao Fu brought the two of them and continued onwards. The others gathered around curiously. The young girl asked, "Senior brother, who is he? I feel that he can definitely rank in the top 10 of our human race, but I don't think I've ever heard of him." Lung Mu shook his head. "I'm not sure, but he brought two people from the water race. Perhaps he's from the water race." The young girl nodded and said, "If he's from the water race, it's normal that you haven't heard of him." That night, there were no stars or moon, and the sky was completely dark. Zhao Fu and the others stopped on a hill and lit a bonfire to rest. Yuchia leaned into Zhao Fu's embrace and sighed. Zhao Fu asked, "What is it?" Yuchia said worriedly, "I don't know what will happen if I go back to the clan. If it wasn't for you, I would never want to go back." Yu Shaoling said with a complicated expression, "If the chief really wants to sacrifice our clan, I don't know what to do. Should we announce what happened back then? However, if the chief controls the entire clan, no one will believe it. I didn't bring back the omniscient water world, so the chief will definitely depose me. I don't know what to do." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything." Yu Shaoling looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Even though you're quite a scoundrel, I believe you. If you become our chief, it'll be great. Our clan will definitely become strong." Yu Chie smiled and said, "With you, the heaven-awakened sun, we don't have to worry. However, you have to promise us that you won't harm our people." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Of course." Yu Chie looked at Zhao Fu and blushed as she softly called out, "Husband." Zhao Fu smiled and understood what she meant. Yu Shaoling also blushed. At that moment, many voices sounded out. Zhao Fu looked over and saw a group of people walking over. A black-clothed youth called Mudding said, "Madam, this place is quite remote. This place is rather remote. Let's rest here for the night." A moving voice sounded out from within the carriage. Let's rest here then." The group of people stopped not too far away from Zhao Fu and the others. There were only a few hundred of them, and they looked like people from a certain sect. Mudding and his people lit a bonfire and set up a tent. Luxuriously clothed people got off the carriages, including the elderly and young, as well as some beautiful women. The one who had just spoken was a beautiful woman wearing a white dress and had an otherworldly aura. Her name was Mu Wan Wan, and she was the wife of the Muyang sect's sect master. Unfortunately, her sect had been destroyed, and only a small number of people had escaped. Mu Wan Wan noticed Zhao Fu and the others and said kindly, "The wilderness is quite dangerous right now. Call them over." Mudding nodded. Zhao Fu sized up Mu Wan Wan and the other women. Yu Shaoling felt a trace of jealousy and lightly pinched Zhao Fu. "Everyone else is here. We can't get high." Zhao Fu smiled as he stood up, looked at Mudding, and asked, "Is something the matter?" Mudding said, "Our sect master's madam is afraid that something might happen to you, so she wants you to come with us. You could go now." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "We understand." Mudding did not say anything else and turned to leave. Zhao Fu brought the two of them to Mu Wan Wan and smiled as he said, "Thank you, sect master's madam." Mu Wan Wan smiled as she said, "You're welcome. Where are you going?" Zhao Fu replied, "We're going towards the water region." Mu Wan Wan felt a trace of surprise as she smiled and said, "We're also going in that direction." Zhao Fu asked, "Why is sect master's madam going in that direction?" Mu Wan Wan sighed, "Our sect has already been destroyed, so we're going back to our parents' home." Zhao Fu said concernedly, "Madam, don't take it too hard. Right now, you're the sect's most precious things." Mu Wan Wan lightly smiled. A beautiful woman with a seductive figure, who was wearing a red palace dress, looked at Zhao Fu and said, All right, let's go. Don't talk to him anymore. Mu Wanwan looked apologetically at Zhao Fu and said, You can stay in the tent over there. Zhao Fu nodded. Thank you, madam. Chapter 32-29. Book 1. Chapter 174. Back at the tent. Mu Wanwan looked at the woman in the red dress and asked, What is it? The woman in the red dress was called Mu Wanxiu, and she frowned as she said, I don't think that person is a good person. Mu Wanwan smiled slightly. Really? I think he's not bad. Mu Wanxiu did not say anything else. Nighttime. Mu Wanxiu left the tent to relieve herself, and just as she was about to return, a black figure appeared behind her and pressed her body against a tree. Mu Wanxiu panicked and turned around as she said angrily, You really are a bad person. 2 hours later, Mu Wanxiu tidied up her clothes and glared at that person's back before walking out and returning to the tent. The next morning, the birds chirped, and everyone tidied up. Mu Wanwan smiled as she said to Zhao Fu, We're going the same way, so let's go together. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Sorry for troubling you, madam. Mu Wanwan smiled and said, It's fine. Mu Wanxiu glared at Zhao Fu. The group continued onwards. Zhao Fu and the others sat in the carriage, and Mu Wanxiu and Zhao Fu were still in the same carriage. Zhao Fu hugged her without holding back. Mu Wanxiu cursed angrily. You bastard, you still dare to do this? Aren't you afraid that I'll tell others about this? Let everyone see your true colors. Zhao Fu smiled and said, You can go now. Mu Wanxiu angrily glared at Zhao Fu and thought about what happened last night. How could Mu Wanxiu have the face to tell others about it? What would others think of her? Moreover, she actually liked it when Zhao Fu bullied her like that. After lying in Zhao Fu's embrace for a few minutes, Mu Wanxiu said with a red face, Don't waste time. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. After a while, a group of people blocked the group. They were also from the Heaven-Awakened world, and there were a few thousand of them. Mu Ding coldly asked, Who are you? Why are you blocking our way? The leader was a woman in a black dress and had a devilish figure. She coldly laughed and said, If you hadn't come back, we might have let you go, but it's a pity that you're seeking death. Mu Ding's expression changed. When Mu Wanwan heard the voice, she walked out of the carriage. She looked at the lady in the black dress and asked, Are you the great elder's woman? The black-robed beauty said with a smile. That's right. Mu Wanwan explained. This time, when I return to the sect, I have no intention to fight with you. I just want to have a place to comfort myself. My husband's sect has already been destroyed. I have no other choice. Otherwise, I would not have returned to the emotion female sect. The black-robed beautiful woman said with a sinister smile. If you give up resisting now, I can take you to the great elder. Mu Wanwan looked at the beautiful middle-aged woman in the black dress and understood that they would be killed if they gave up resisting. She said, Then can we change our direction and not return to the sect? The black-robed beauty sneered. No. The enemies immediately rushed at the group, and the two sides started fighting. Mu Wanwan said, Mu Ding, you protect everyone. Yes. Mu Ding obeyed. Mu Wanwan flew towards the black-robed, beautiful woman alone. When the black-robed, beautiful woman saw Mu Wanwan flying over, a smile appeared on her face. She launched an attack on Mu Wanwan first. Her palms constantly struck out, sending palm energies towards Mu Wanwan. Mu Wanwan retaliated while dodging. Within the carriage, Zhao Fu and the others could hear the sounds of battle. Mu Wanxiu's face was red as she said, Damned bastard, I'm going to go out and help. I'll accompany you later. Zhao Fu laughed and said, I'll go out and help as well. Mu Wanxiu put on a set of clothes and rushed out. She slashed out with her sword, sending out a ray of sword light that killed a few people. Blood flew everywhere, and Mu Wanxiu attacked some others. However, there were many enemies and the group was at a disadvantage. At that moment, Zhao Fu slowly walked out. Looking at the chaotic battle in front of him, he slightly smiled and raised a hand. A massive wave of demonic qi flowed out, turning into many demons that leapt at the enemies. Pain cries sounded out. The demons were powerful and incredibly cruel, continuously killing the enemies, causing blood to fly everywhere. Mu Wanqiu looked back at Zhao Fu in surprise. Yu Qie and Yu Shaoling put on a few simple clothes and looked around. They understood that Zhao Fu could deal with this by himself, so they stood by Zhao Fu's side and did not help. With Zhao Fu's help, they quickly suppressed the enemy's attacks. Bang! The beautiful woman in black slammed her palm against Mu Wanwan's chest, sending her back a few steps. Blood leaked out of the corner of her mouth. Seeing the people she had brought be slaughtered, the beautiful woman in black's expression became unsightly, and she planned to escape. Clang, clang, clang. Many chains shot out from the air and shot towards the beautiful woman in black. The beautiful woman in black waved her hand to knock back a few of the chains, but she was still bound in the end. Seeing this scene, the remaining enemies did not continue fighting, and they hurriedly turned and ran. Zhao Fu came to Mu Wanwan's side and asked caringly, "Are you all right?" Mu Wanwan smiled and said, "It's just a small injury. Also, thank you for your help." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Madam has been so nice to us, so I should help." Mu Wanqiu walked over and rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu, then looked at the beautiful woman in black and asked, "What should we do with her? Kill her?" The beautiful woman in black looked coldly at the group. Mu Wanwan sighed and said, "Let her go." Mu Wanqiu was stunned and said, "You mean let her go? This woman is Grand Elder's subordinate, and she just wanted to kill us." Mu Wanwan said, "I don't want to become enemies with Grand Elder." Mu Wanqiu asked again, "Then what do we do now? Are we not going to the Emotion Maiden sect? If we don't go there, where else can we go?" Hearing this, Mu Wanwan was in a difficult position. Mu Wanqiu continued, "You even dared to kill Grand Elder in broad daylight. Aren't you worried that something will happen to the sect master?" Mu Wanwan still could not make a decision. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'll help you heal first and then make a decision. No matter what you decide, I'll help you." Mu Wanwan smiled and said, "Thank you." They went to the carriage. Zhao Fu looked at Mu Wanwan. Mu Wanwan blushed and said, "I can heal such a small injury myself. There's no need to trouble you." Zhao Fu smiled and hugged Mu Wanwan, saying, "It's no trouble at all." Mu Wanwan struggled and said, "Let go of me." Zhao Fu ignored her. Mu Wanqiu waited for a while and did not see Zhao Fu come out. She knew that something had happened inside, and she sighed. Afterwards, Mu Wanwan nestled in Zhao Fu's embrace and said with a red face, "You really are not a good person." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Aren't you interested in me as well?" Mu Wanwan revealed a shy look. She had quite a good impression of Zhao Fu in the beginning, and felt that he was a bit like her deceased husband. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Let's go out." Mu Wanwan nodded. Everyone saw that Mu Wanwan's face was rosy and that she was giving off an alluring aura. After spending so much time with Zhao Fu, they understood what had happened. Chapter 32-30. Book 1, Chapter 175. Mu Wanqiu looked at Mu Wanwan and said, "Am I wrong? He's a bastard." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "Don't blame me if you say that again." Mu Wanqiu raised her head and said, "Don't you dare." Mu Wanwan said, "All right, stop arguing." Mu Wanqiu looked at Mu Wanwan and said, "Have you thought it through? What should we do?" Mu Wanwan looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I want to hear his opinion." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I think we should go back." Mu Wanwan said, "All right, let's go back then." Mu Wanqiu looked at the beautiful woman in the black dress and asked, "What about her?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Leave her to me." Mu Wanwan nodded. Zhao Fu grabbed the beautiful woman in the black dress and took her to the side. The beautiful woman in the black dress struggled and said, "What do you want to do?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You'll know soon." They went to a remote place, and Zhao Fu hung the beautiful woman in the black dress up before starting to ravage her. The beautiful woman in the black dress was called Mu Hailan. Zhao Fu looked at the powerless Mu Hailan on the ground and smiled as he said, "Go back now and be my chess piece. If anything happens, you can immediately tell me." Mu Hailan said angrily, "Stop dreaming, you bastard." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Get up, let's go back." Mu Highland looked at her in shock as her body started to go out of control. She picked up the clothes on the ground and flew to the side. Zhao Fu returned to the group, and they walked towards the emotion sect. Mu Highland returned to the sect and knelt in front of a tall, cold, and beautiful middle-aged woman in a purple dress. She told her about what had just happened, hiding what had happened between her and Zhao Fu and saying that Mu Wanwan had let her go. The beautiful woman in the purple dress was the Great Elder, and her name was Mu Qingyu. Back then, she and Sect Master Mu Hongyan were good sisters. She was the senior sister, and Mu Hongyan was the junior sister. After that, Mu Qingyu's master passed the position of sect leader to Mu Hongyan, which caused Mu Qingyu to be very dissatisfied. The relationship between the two of them also started to deteriorate. In order to pacify Mu Qingyu, Mu Hongyan promised that she would give the position of the next sect leader to her. Although she had received Mu Hongyan's promise, Mu Qingyu was still worried. She first married off Mu Hongyan's daughter, then started to rope in other people in the sect to stabilize her position. She had been waiting for the position of sect master for more than 40 years. There could not be any mistakes. That was why she had sent people to kill Mu Wanwan. Now that they had failed and Mu Wanwan had released Mu Highland, Mu Qingyu sank in her thoughts and said, "You can go now." Mu Highland retreated, and her body regained its freedom. Now that things had turned out like this, she could only listen to Zhao Fu's orders. Otherwise, she could only die. Zhao Fu and the others returned to the emotion sect. A beautiful woman in a white dress with a seductive figure was sitting in the hall. She looked at Mu Wanwan with a smile on her face. She was the mistress of the emotion sect, Mu Hongyan. "Mother," Mu Wanwan affectionately called out. Mu Hongyan happily nodded and smiled as she said, "I never thought that you would come back. You should have notified me earlier." Mu Wanwan said, "I didn't want to come back, but I have nowhere else to go." Mu Hongyan said seriously, "I know about your situation. In the future, stay in the emotion sect. Mother will protect you, and this time, no one will be able to force you away." Hearing this, Mu Wanwan asked, "Mother, what do you plan to do?" Mu Hongyan said, "I'm going to give the position of sect master to Mu Qingyu. After she becomes the sect master, she won't make things difficult for us. I've been tired of being the sect master for so many years, and I don't want to participate in these struggles." Mu Wanwan smiled and nodded. Mu Hongyan smiled as she said, "You've been traveling for so many days. Go and freshen up." Mu Wanwan nodded. After returning to her room, Mu Wanwan saw Zhao Fu ravaging Mu Wanxiu and the other two women. A trace of redness appeared on her face as she walked over. Mu Qingyu also heard that Mu Hongyan was going to give the position of sect master to her. After waiting for so many years, she was finally going to obtain it. Mu Qingyu was both happy and excited, but she also felt a trace of complicated emotions. The many elders also heard about this, and most of them immediately chose to support Mu Qingyu. After all, Mu Qingyu's faction was already very powerful, and now that the position of sect master was going to be given to her, only an idiot would not choose to side with her. Of course, there were some of Mu Hongyan's trusted aides who came to persuade her, but Mu Hongyan had already made up her mind, and no matter how they tried to persuade her, it was useless. Afterwards, the news was made public, and the ordinary disciples also knew about this. 2 days later, the transfer ceremony was held. After hearing about this, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had thought that coming to the emotion sect would be quite difficult, and Zhao Fu had planned to control the many elders to help Mu Hongyan and get rid of the Great Elders faction. However, now that Mu Hongyan had given up, there was nothing for Zhao Fu to do. 2 days later, everyone came to a flower field. This flower field was quite big and was filled with fiery red flowers. Under the blue sky and white clouds, the scene was quite beautiful. In the middle of the painting, there was a platform made of jade. It was circular, and above the platform was a foot high. On the platform, there were coffins with fiery red flowers wrapped around them. There seemed to be the corpses of women in them. These were the corpses of the sect masters and elders. The reason why the Emotion sect was able to defend against the invasion of other worlds was because of these sect masters' corpses. This was because the Emotion sect's legacy was quite special, and adding on the fact that the Passion Flower Field would form passion corpses after death, they contained incredibly powerful and strange powers. Of course, ordinary disciples would not be able to form passion corpses. Only those who cultivated the Emotion sect's cultivation technique to the peak would be able to form them. There were 100 or so coffins, and Mu Hongyan and Mu Qingyu stood in front of the last coffin, while the other disciples and elders stood 10 or so meters behind them. Zhao Fu and Mu Wanwan stood by the side and looked at this scene curiously. Mu Hongyan looked at Mu Qingyu and said, "Senior apprentice sister, after I hand over the position of sect master to you, I don't want to continue our previous grudges. Right now, I just want to live a peaceful life with my daughter in the sect. In the future, I will not participate in the sect's affairs." Mu Qingyu looked at Mu Hongyan and nodded. "All right, I can promise that I won't disturb you in the future. If there's anything you need, I'll do my best to help you. You can rest assured." Mu Hongyan smiled. "Thank you, senior sister. If possible, I really want to go back to the time when we were on good terms. We don't have to fight openly and covertly like we do now. I also regret accepting Master's assignment back then." Mu Qingyu looked at Mu Hongyan with a complicated expression. Thinking about what she had done over the years, she felt somewhat guilty. Mu Hongyan chuckled. "All right, let us begin the ceremony." Mu Qingyu's expression softened. "And junior sister." Hearing this, Mu Hongyan looked at Mu Qingyu in surprise before smiling and walking to the last coffin. Chapter 32-31. Book I. Chapter 176. Mu Hongyan stretched out her hand and cut open her arm. Blood flowed out from the wound and dripped onto the flower coffin. The flower coffin slowly opened, revealing a woman's corpse. This woman was like a demoness. Her face and figure were extremely alluring, and she wore a fiery red dress. Her skin was pale and bloodless, and she did not have any aura of life. She looked just like a dead person. However, the dead man slowly opened his eyes, revealing a pair of fiery red eyes that looked at Mu Hongyan and Mu Qingyu. Mu Hongyan and Mu Qingyu bowed. "Greetings, master." This woman was their deceased master. Her name was Mu Qingfeng, and she was the previous sect master. Mu Qingfeng looked at the two and asked, "What's the matter?" Mu Hongyan said, "I would like to transfer the position of sect master to senior sister. I would like to start the transfer ceremony." Mu Qingfeng said no. Mu Qingyu hurriedly said, "Master, why? Now that junior sister has taken the initiative to give the position of sect master to me, you still don't agree?" Mu Qingfeng looked at Mu Qingyu and said, "Qingyu, do you think that I didn't consider you as the sect head? The first person I considered was you, but you are narrow-minded and jealous. You could do anything to achieve your goal. How can I be at ease giving the sect to you?" Hearing these words, Mu Qingyu felt that they were very grating to her ears. However, thinking about what she had done in the past few years, she understood that her master was not wrong. Moreover, she had also been raised by Mu Qingfeng, so she lowered her head and fell silent. Mu Hongyan said, "Master, senior sister's ability is stronger than mine. I think I can let senior sister give a try." Mu Qingfeng said, "A single wrong decision by the sect master could lead to the destruction of the sect. There's no possibility of a second restart. How can we give such an important matter a try?" Mu Hongyan said, "I've had enough of being the sect leader all these years. I don't want to continue being the sect leader. Master, please give me a chance." Mu Qingfeng said, "No, if you don't want to be the sect head, then choose someone else. Your world can't be the sect head." Mu Qingyu stood at the side and did not speak. She felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Mu Qingfeng was afraid that something would happen and said to Mu Qingyu, "Qingyu, from now on, you will stay in the land of inheritance as a guardian. You are not allowed to participate in the matters of the sect." She no longer had any hope of becoming the sect master, and the transfer ceremony had to be presided over by Mu Qingfeng. Mu Qingyu was also disheartened and nodded. "I understand." Mu Hongyan looked at her senior sister and sighed. "Master, Please choose the next sect leader. Mu Qin Feng's gaze swept across the disciples and finally landed on Mu Wanwan. She's your daughter, Mu Wanwan, right? Now that she's grown up, I think she's more suitable to be the next sect master. Mu Hongyan was surprised. She did not expect Mu Qinfeng to choose her daughter. Mu Qinfeng smiled and called out, Mu Wanwan, come forward. Mu Wanwan stepped forward and called out with a smile, Master. Mu Qinfeng nodded. Your mother doesn't want to be the sect master anymore. I want to choose you as the next sect master. What do you think? Mu Wanwan glanced at Mu Qingyu and said, Master, I don't want to be the sect master. Please choose Elder Qingyu as the sect master. Mu Qinfeng glanced at Mu Qingyu. Did Qingyu do a lot of things against you? I'll deal with her later. You two don't have to worry. I chose you two for the sake of the sect. Mu Wanwan said, Master, I'm really not suitable. I've already married into another sect and become the wife of another sect. If you choose me, I won't be suitable. Mu Qinfeng frowned. Mu Qingyu suddenly said, The sect you are in has already been destroyed and no longer belongs to any sect. As the daughter of the sect master, you're suitable to be the next sect master. Mu Hongyan and Mu Wanwan looked at Mu Qingyu in surprise. They did not expect Mu Qingyu to say this. Mu Qinfeng nodded in satisfaction. Mu Wanwan continued, I rarely give up on the emotion sex cultivation technique. I'm not young anymore, and there are many more suitable people in the sect than me. Mu Qinfeng smiled and said, Come here. Mu Wanwan walked in front of Mu Qinfeng and looked at Mu Qinfeng in confusion. Mu Qinfeng stretched out her finger and tapped on Mu Wanwan's forehead. A small red flower imprint appeared on Mu Wanwan's body. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a supreme sovereign's power suddenly exploded out from Mu Wanwan's body. Mu Wanwan's body gave off a black aura and a pressure covered the surroundings. Mu Qinfeng, Mu Hongyan, and Mu Qingyu looked shocked. Mu Qinfeng asked, Wanwan, why is there such a powerful power in your body? I've never seen this power before. It's a sovereign's power. Mu Wanwan also looked confused. She did not know why she had such a powerful power, but she was very familiar with the aura it gave off. She turned to look at Zhao Fu. This power should have been given to her by Zhao Fu. Mu Hongyan asked, What's wrong, daughter? Mu Wanwan said with a red face, He gave me this power? The three of them looked at Zhao Fu. Mu Qinfeng asked, Who is he? Mu Wanwan said with a red face, He's my man. Mu Hongyan said doubtfully, Isn't your husband the sect master? Why don't I feel like it? Mu Wanwan said with a red face, He's my second man. I met him when I returned to the sect. Mu Hongyan said angrily, It's only been a few days, and you've already found another man. How can you be so casual? Mu Wanwan's face was red. Even though Zhao Fu had taken the initiative to take her, she had a good impression of Zhao Fu. Mu Qinfeng called out, You come up as well. Zhao Fu walked up and looked at the women as he asked, What is it? Mu Qinfeng smiled as she said, Where are you from? Zhao Fu replied, It's not convenient for me to tell you. Mu Qinfeng smiled as she said, It's all right. With the power you have, you should be from one of the most powerful families in the Heaven Awakened world. Mu Wanwan looked at Zhao Fu in shock. She had never thought that Zhao Fu's identity would be so illustrious. Mu Qinfeng smiled as she said, Can I take off my cloak? Hearing this, Zhao Fu took off his cloak, causing an uproar. Soon, everyone calmed down as they stared at Zhao Fu's perfect face and extraordinary aura. Their hearts sped up, their faces burned, and they found it difficult to breathe. Mu Hongyan's heart rate sped up, and she understood why her daughter had found another man so quickly. Even she would fall in love with such a man. Mu Qinfeng sweetly smiled as she said, Your looks are incredibly rare. If I was still alive, I would definitely pursue you. You're the first man I've met who has moved my heart. Our Emotion Maiden sect is very proactive in matters of love. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thank you for your praise. Mu Qinfeng smiled as she said, Can you send a portion of your power into my body? I feel that this power of yours will greatly affect my Emotion Maiden sect. Chapter 32. Book 1, Book 2, Chapter 177. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "No problem." Mu Qingfeng lightly smiled as she said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Here?" Mu Qingfeng asked curiously, "Is there a problem?" Mu Wanwan said with a red face, "You have to do it with him." Hearing this, Mu Qingfeng lightly smiled as she said, "Do you mind that I'm a dead person?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Senior is so beautiful. I naturally don't mind." Mu Qingfeng lightly smiled as she waved her hand, and a wave of energy spread out, causing many fiery red flowers to grow out and continuously combine, forming a massive flower ball that covered the few of them and blocked their vision. Mu Qingfeng looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Let's begin." Zhao Fu nodded as he went up and hugged Mu Qingfeng. 2 hours later, boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Mu Qingfeng's body gave off a powerful energy, causing red flowers to grow all over her body. Her lifeless body now had a trace of life force. Mu Qingfeng could not help but laugh loudly. She had never thought that Zhao Fu's power would be of such great help to her. It could bring her back from the dead, causing her power to rise by a level and reach the legendary realm of the Lover Girl. Originally, she would never be able to reach the higher expert realm in her lifetime, but now that she was in this realm, it was possible. Right now, she was in a state called the Passion Flower Devil Spirit. Not only did she become more powerful, but she was also very difficult to kill. Even if she was chopped into countless pieces, she would not die, and she also had the ability to control emotions. For example, Mu Qingfeng could make countless men feel as if they had met their true love, madly falling in love with her and doing everything for her. This ability was also very difficult to remove. Mu Qingfeng looked at Zhao Fu below. Zhao Fu was like a treasure to them, and they had to control her. Mu Qingfeng randomly used this ability on Zhao Fu. A formless energy spread out from Mu Qingfeng's body and soundlessly flowed into Zhao Fu's head. Zhao Fu lightly smiled as he looked at Mu Qingfeng and said, "Aren't you going a little overboard? You want to control me?" Hearing that, Xylophone said in surprise, "My ability is useless against you." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Of course." Mu Qingfeng snorted, "Looks like you're stronger than I thought. Even a spirit realm expert can't withstand my power, let alone an emptiness realm expert." Zhao Fu started to take revenge on Xylophone Wind. An hour later, Mu Qingfeng said to Mu Hongyan and Mu Qingyu with a weak smile, "You two should also come and give it a try. His power will also be of great help to you." Mu Qingyu stepped forward. Mu Hongyan blushed and looked at her daughter. Mu Wanwan said shyly, "I don't mind. Mother, you can go." Mu Hongyan smiled and pounced at Zhao Fu impatiently. 2 hours later, boom! Two powerful forces burst forth from Mu Hongyan and the Great Elder's bodies, knocking the petals of countless flowers into the air and raining down like rain. Everyone stared at the scene in astonishment. They had not expected the sect master, the Great Elder, and the previous sect master to do something like this. Mu Hongyan blushed. Mu Qingfeng said with a smile, "Don't mind it. There's only one man here now. Moreover, after your powers increase, it will be their turn." Mu Hongyan nodded. Everyone stood on the spot and watched the scene in front of them. Their faces were flushed and their hearts were beating very fast. They felt as if they were in flames. After a while, Mu Qingfeng said with a smile, "You guys should also come and give it a try. It will be of great help to you." Hearing this, the crowd swarmed forward. A few days later, Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on the ground, holding a fiery red flower bud. Zhao Fu had not worked hard for nothing in the past few days. He had gathered a lot of power from the women and condensed this passion flower demonic seed. This passion flower demonic seed was incredibly useful, and it could make any creature fall madly in love with him. They would be willing to do anything for him, even if it meant death. More importantly, this was a power that even higher beings could not resist. Satisfied, Zhao Fu put it away and said with a smile, "I'm leaving." Mu Qingfeng rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. "You're leaving so soon? Our entire sect has been harmed by you, so why aren't you saying anything?" Zhao Fu looked at the countless women around him and smiled as he said, "What do you want from me?" Mu Qin Feng smiled as she said, "I want you to stay in our Passion Maiden sect for at least 10 years. Of course, we can help you with anything." Zhao Fu said, "No, I still have something important to take care of." Mu Hongyan asked, "What is it?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's something very important, but I can't tell you. After I take care of things, I'll come back to see you." Mu Qinyu frowned as she said, "We're all your women now, so why are you hiding so much information from us?" Zhao Fu explained, "There are some things that it's not good for you to know too much." Mu Qinyu still wanted to say something, but Mu Qin Feng stopped her and smiled as she said, "Then can you help us one last time?" Zhao Fu asked, "What kind of help?" Mu Qin Feng looked at the flower coffins and said, "I want you to resurrect all of them. If they are all resurrected, we won't have to worry about any invasions from other forces. My emotion sect will also become a big sect that occupies a place." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Aren't you afraid that I'll die of exhaustion?" Mu Qin Feng chuckled and said, "Come on, we know your power. Also, you'll be my only man from now on. Can you promise me, husband?" Mu Qinyu also said, "Husband, right now, the Heaven Awakened world is so dangerous. You don't want anything to happen to us, right? I did do something wrong in the past, but now I just want to redeem myself. Please help me. You're my first man, and also my last." Mu Hongyan smiled and said, "Me too. Can I help you, husband?" Mu Wanwan could not help but say shyly, "Husband, if you help us, I'll be yours in the future. You can do whatever you want." The other women also chimed in. Zhao Fu said helplessly, "All right." Mu Qin Feng smiled and said, "Everyone, back off." Hearing this, the women smiled and retreated to the side, creating a large, empty space. Mu Qin Feng came before the flower coffins and slit her wrist. Blood continuously flowed out, and under her control, it formed a fist-sized orb of blood. She raised her hand, and the orb of blood flew into the sky. Bang! The orb of blood floated in the sky and gave off boundless blood-red light that shone on the flower coffins. The flower coffins opened, revealing the corpses of women. They all had different appearances, figures, and auras, but they all wore fiery red dresses. Their skin was pale, and they did not have any life force, looking like corpses. They slowly opened their eyes, and they all had fiery red pupils. Chapter 32-33. As the #1 sect in the world, the sword sect of the world used this as an excuse to unite many other sects and massacre the heavenly evil sword sect in one night. 1,000 years later, the last generation of the heavenly evil sword sect successor personally set off a monstrous killing calamity. You have received the contract signing information. You can recommend it. Lord Soldiers Conquering the World new book beginning with the sword sect exterminating the world currently typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 32-34. Book 1. Chapter 178. This was especially so for the last woman. She was extremely beautiful and gave off a very powerful aura. She was the founder of the emotion sect, Mu Qingnu. Back then, Mu Qingnu had fallen in love with a man, but she had begged him to no avail. She had dejectedly come to this place and used the Passion Flower Land to establish Qingnu's sect, which had lasted until now. Unless something major had happened, she would not have awakened. It was for this reason that the Emotion Maiden sect was able to condense the Passion Flower demonic seed and make all living creatures fall in love with her. Looking at the scene before them, all the grandmasters and elders were bewildered. Why were none of them wearing any clothes? Mu Qin looked at Mu Qin Feng. "What happened?" Mu Qin Feng replied with a smile, "Grandmaster, I've discovered a treasure that I'd like to give to all of you." Mu Qingnu asked, "What treasure requires all of us to awaken?" Mu Qin Feng chuckled, "This treasure can bring us back from the dead. We don't have to sleep in the flower fields." Hearing this, everyone started to pay attention. At that moment, someone also noticed Zhao Fu. Her face turned red. Why is there a man here? He's not even dressed yet. What did you do? All the girls looked at Zhao Fu and lowered their heads. Mu Qin Feng smiled and said, is the treasure that I mentioned. As long as we dual cultivate with him, the power in his body will become our nourishment, allowing us to reach the legendary realm. A voluptuous, beautiful woman laughed as she said, is it really that effective? I'll give a try first. Mu Qin Feng said with a smile. No problem. The beautiful middle-aged woman walked in front of Zhao Fu and looked at Zhao Fu, feeling quite moved. Her face became red as she said, Sir, let's begin. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Boom! An hour later, a powerful aura exploded out from the beautiful woman's body, and many red flowers started to grow on her body. The women were shocked. They had not expected him to reach the legendary stage so easily. This man was too powerful. Mu Qingnu asked in shock, who is he? Mu Qin Feng smiled as she said, I'm not sure, but he should be a top-tier faction in the Heaven Awakened world. Perhaps he's a holy son. Mu Qingnu seriously looked at Zhao Fu. Seeing this, the others also went up without any hesitation. Even if there was no effect, they still wanted to try, as the beautiful middle-aged woman was simply too happy. This took a whole day. Finally, the wood lover walked over and looked at Zhao Fu as she said, I'll only dual cultivate with you once. There won't be any feelings between us because I've always been deeply in love with another man. I'll give you another reward. Zhao Fu thought about it and nodded with a smile. Boom! A few hours later, a massive aura exploded out of Mu Qingnu's body, forming massive ripples that caused everyone present to take a step back and look at Mu Qingnu in shock. As the patriarch of the Emotion Maiden sect, Mu Qing was not only the strongest, but she had also reached the legendary realm long ago. That was why she was emitting such powerful waves. Little red flowers began to grow on the ground around them. The heavens and earth seemed to change as countless strands of spirit chi gathered, forming a vortex in the sky and giving off a massive might. Boom! A red ray of light descended from the vortex and landed on Mu Qingnu's body, and a massive wave of power flowed into her. The ray of light lasted for a while, and the surroundings gradually calmed down. Mu Qingnu's eyes became like little red flowers, and her skin became as white as snow. She was not as pale as the corpse from before, and she seemed to be even more beautiful than before. Zhao Fu felt as if he had fallen in love with her. If others broke through and could become higher beings, Mu Qingnu's breakthrough gave her the potential to become a celestial. Sensing this powerful power, Mu Qingnu felt quite delighted. If she could become a celestial, she would definitely be able to obtain that man's heart. That man was the man she deeply loved, and he was her life's goal. Suddenly, Mu Qingnu's face became red and realized that she was cultivating with Zhao Fu. Looking at Zhao Fu below, Mu Qingnu could not help but feel complicated, and she felt slightly moved by this man. Half an hour later, Mu Qingnu lay on the ground with a red face. Zhao Fu stood up and stretched out a hand, condensing 2 passion flower demonic seeds. The passion flower energy within these people's bodies was more than all of the people from before combined, and Mu Qingnu had contributed the most. Now that Zhao Fu had 3 passion flower demonic seeds, he could deal with 3 higher being existences. In the future, Zhao Fu would feel much more at ease. Looking at Mu Qingnu on the ground, Zhao Fu smiled and said, How do you feel? Mu Qingnu's face became slightly red as she said, Not bad. Zhao Fu looked at Mu Qin Feng and said, Now that things are done, I can leave, right? Mu Qin Feng nodded. Thank you for your help this time. In the future, you will be our Emotion Maiden sect's great benefactor. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Just great benefactor? Mu Qin Feng lightly laughed. You're still our man. Zhao Fu nodded in satisfaction. Mu Qingnu stood up and asked, Where are you going? Zhao Fu replied, I have some matters to attend to in the water domain. Mu Qingnu said somewhat reluctantly, Oh. Zhao Fu hugged her with one arm and smiled as he said, I'll come back to see you all in the future. Mu Qingnu leaned into Zhao Fu's embrace and looked at Zhao Fu's perfect face, causing her heart to rapidly beat. She could not help but admit that she was moved by Zhao Fu and enjoyed the feeling of being Zhao Fu's woman. At the entrance of the Emotion Maiden sect, the women had already changed their clothes and were sending Zhao Fu off. As they watched Zhao Fu gradually disappear, they felt quite reluctant. Yuchie stood by Zhao Fu's side and looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "What is it?" Yuchie said, "I wonder how many women your clan will harm." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "How can that be called harm? Look, I didn't even force them. They were all willing. Moreover, I'm the one who's at a disadvantage." Yuchie rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. "You're still trying to act innocent after getting the benefits." Yu Shaoling smiled as she said, "If you help our clan the same as the Emotion Maiden sect, I don't mind the entire clan's women becoming your women." Zhao Fu lightly smiled. "That's more like it." Boom, boom, boom. Explosions sounded out as beams of light containing immense power shot towards Zhao Fu's group of three. Zhao Fu frowned. It was the gold refiner race attacking them again. Zhao Fu released a wave of power, forming a powerful barrier that blocked the beams of light. Many muffled sounds rang out as ripples spread out, but they were unable to break through Zhao Fu's powerful defenses. Yu Chie and Yu Shaoling were already used to this. The three of them sped up and flew away from this place. They did not stay behind to destroy the gold refiner faction attacking them. Chapter 32-35. Book 1. Chapter 179. Rescue. "Save me." A seductive woman's voice sounded out from within a forest. Hearing this voice, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and said, "Someone's in danger. Let's go and take a look." Yu Shaoling and Yu Chie rolled their eyes at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Helping others is a good thing. I'm quite willing to help others." Yu Chie said, "Then hurry up and go." The three of them flew into the forest and saw an extremely ugly fat woman who was 3 meters tall and had many tentacles growing out her body. She looked ferociously at Zhao Fu and the others. It was evident that she had made that sound to attract people over. Seeing this, Zhao Fu's expression became cold. Yu Shaoling and Yu Chie could not help but laugh, and tears almost came out of their eyes. Boom! At that moment, the fat woman started to attack Zhao Fu. She leapt up and slammed a palm towards Zhao Fu with immense force. Zhao Fu blocked the fat woman's palm with one hand, and a wave of energy blasted out in all directions. What was surprising was that the fat woman's strength was not weak at all. The fat woman raised her other fat palm and slammed it toward Zhao Fu. This time, Zhao Fu's palm slammed out, and a massive wave of energy brought with it a gust of wind as it quickly flew towards the fat woman. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the fat woman was forced back 3 or 4 steps, and she looked at Zhao Fu in shock. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful. She had met a tough opponent this time. A trace of a cold smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he once again slammed out with his palm. A black wave of energy condensed into a palm, and it slammed towards the fat woman with immense power. The force of the palm even left a gash in the ground. The fat woman loudly cried out and gave off a powerful aura, seeming to give off a blue light. Her body ferociously slammed towards the palm, blocking it and giving off a muffled sound. Bang! Zhao Fu once again punched out, and a black dragon head containing immense power slammed into the fat woman's body, sending her flying. Blood leaked out of the fat woman's lips as she furiously glared at Zhao Fu. Her tentacles spread out and liquid sprayed out, and Zhao Fu once again used his defensive barrier to block the liquid. The liquid was incredibly corrosive and could leave large holes in the ground. Zhao Fu coldly looked at the fat woman in front of him, and a powerful energy spread out, forming flying swords that floated around him. Xiao, xiao, xiao. The swords gave off waves of power as they quickly flew towards the fat woman, leaving behind black traces. The attacks were incredibly shocking. The fat woman controlled the tentacles to attack the flying swords with immense power. Puff, puff, puff. The tentacles couldn't withstand the attacks at all and were chopped apart by the flying swords. The tentacles flew everywhere. Blue liquid flowed out of the broken tentacle. The fat woman gave a pained cry and her body retreated. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and vigorously grabbed at the air, causing the flying swords to give off black sword lights and ferociously slash towards the fat woman. In that instant, the fat woman was chopped into countless pieces of flesh, and large amounts of blue liquid spurted out. Only after killing the fat woman did Zhao Fu stop, and the flying swords dissipated. At that moment, Yu Xiaoling saw a jade plate fall from the corpse. She curiously went up and looked at it seriously. The jade plate was the size of a normal plate, and there were rings engraved on it. There was also a fish in the middle, and the carvings were very detailed as if they were alive. Yu Qie asked, "What is this?" Yu Xiaoling smiled as she said, "This looks like the profound fish race's profound spirit fish plate." Yu Qie said in shock, "Profound spirit jade plate?" Zhao Fu asked, "What is that?" Yu Xiaoling smiled as she explained, "The profound fish race is one of the most powerful races in our water race. They have a very mystical ability to find many underwater spirit veins. This profound spirit fish plate is a treasure that they created to find spirit veins." Oh, Zhao Fu wasn't very interested in this thing. Yu Xiaoling saw that Zhao Fu wasn't interested and smiled as she said, "Although no one other than the profound fish race can use the profound spirit fish plate, this profound spirit fish plate in my hand is a very high-grade profound spirit jade plate. Even the profound fish race would find it very difficult to create it. If you use it to trade with the profound fish race, you will obtain a large amount of good stuff." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Keep this thing. It's useless to me anyway." Yu Xiaoling looked at Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, "Are you sure? I can remind you that the Yu Xian race can also find the 8-direction water world." Zhao Fu understood what Yu Xiaoling meant. She wanted to use this profound spirit fish plate to get the profound fish race to help her find the 8-direction water world. Zhao Fu said awkwardly, "Give it to me." Yu Xiaoling chuckled and handed the profound spirit fish plate to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu took the profound spirit fish plate and put it away. This thing could only be used in a water body. Yu Qie said, "She probably didn't know that the unlucky profound fish race member was attracted by the sound and was killed by her. That's why there's this profound spirit fish plate." Yu Xiaoling nodded as she looked at Zhao Fu and teased, "Let's see if you dare to do this in the future." Zhao Fu smiled awkwardly and said, "All right, let's go." Yu Qie smiled and said, "Be more serious in the future. Don't always think about harming women." Zhao Fu said, "I know." Yu Qie went forward and hugged Zhao Fu. The three of them continued flying forward. Not long after Zhao Fu left, a delicate-looking young man with fish patterns on his body arrived with a voluptuous woman with a cold temperament. She also had blue fish patterns on her body. The youth was called Yuzhan, and the beautiful woman was called Yuquail. Yuzhan said, "When I was passing by, I heard someone calling for help, so I flew over. I didn't expect to encounter a monster that was very powerful. If I hadn't used the treasure that Mother gave me, I might have died here. That profound spirit fish plate is also here." Yuquail said solemnly, "That's a rare profound spirit fish plate in our race. If it's lost, Mother and you will be punished. We have to find it quickly." Yuzhan nodded. The two of them quickly found the fat woman's body. Yuzhan pointed at the body and said, "It's her." Yuquail went forward to check and said, "The profound spirit fish plate is not with her now. It should be in the hands of the person who killed her. This is troublesome. We don't know who killed her and where to find the profound spirit fish plate." Yuzhan said with self-blame, "I'm sorry, Mother." Yuquail sighed and said, "Let's go back." Yuzhan said hesitantly, "Won't we be punished if we go back?" Yuquail said, "We have no choice now. We have to admit our mistake and use the other profound spirit fish plates to find it." Yuzhan nodded. The two of them flew to the side. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.